But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking heavy time. What the hell does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. You got me. Because I guess what? There's always new technology happening. I'm talking about AI all the time because I'm using all these amazing AI tools, and it's fun as hell, and it's great to see all of these things develop, right? But the wild part is, it's not the only thing developing. There's a whole lot of things developing in the engineering space, and not just engineering itself, but physics and engineering, and sort of not just human consciousness. Of course, I'm going to tie it into that because this is weird, but gravity itself is still an enigma after all these years, right? Newton and the apple, right? There's that old trope. It's a thing, except, did it really happen? Who really knows? But gravity itself is one of those things that we're told is responsible for time in many ways, okay? Again, the gravitational signature of your planet will determine, sort of the time aspect that you kind of get. And as things get larger and more dense, the time slows down, right? The whole bit. Or does it go faster? I don't know. Whatever. You guys know what I mean. But you catch my point. And so the black hole, right? You go to the black hole and time goes really, really slow, close to it, but away from it, time goes really, really fast. That's the whole point. So the more dense the object, the more time dilation. And so the bizarre part about this regarding the time stuff is that we haven't really cracked that code just yet. I mean, cracking time itself would be a monumental thing, of course. So that would be news everywhere if we did. But one way to do that is to experiment with gravity. And new articles are popping just the last couple of days here of China. So as usual, right, China's up to their usual stuff and creating fake suns and artificial suns. Sorry, not fake, artificial suns and all manner of things. But here's this one where a couple articles popped today and yesterday. China's new hypergravity machine can produce 1,900 times Earth's gravity. All right. And it's a centrifuge type thing. So it's not like actually changing gravity on Earth, but it is changing, let's say, when you put something inside the device itself, that there's, the gravitational signature from a centrifuge can become actually real within that centrifuge. And if you put a person in there and certainly crank it up high enough, you could kill them with the blackouts, the redouts, as Lou Elizondo was saying recently on the, that hearing. Like the G-forces are akin to, flying a plane and worse, flying a space shuttle and all these things, right? Going faster than humans can even fathom. But the weird part about this is, and I'll get to it in a sec here, but I'll just read from the article. It's probably best to do it directly because, sometimes I'll butcher it just rambling on. But here we go. So China has taken a monumental leap in scientific research by activating the world's most advanced hypergravity machine. The Centrifugal Hypergravity and Interdisciplinary Experiment Facility. That's a mouthful. So we'll just abbreviate it to CHIEF. You got it, Chief? Okay, Chief. CHIEF is a groundbreaking system located in Hangzhou, Zhejiang province, and I'm saying this incorrectly, pardon my Chinese, it's terrible, which will house the largest hypergravity centrifuge ever built. Okay. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool, right? So when fully operational, CHIEF will be capable of producing forces thousands of times stronger than Earth's gravity. China says this will completely revolutionize research and the science of extreme conditions, which is completely correct. I mean, that's amazing. We're going to be able to test things in gravity spaces, at least simulate gravity in that sense, and be able to test things against it. And like I said, engineering purposes and whatnot, this is good. This is a very good thing. So hypergravity, in this sense, is a gravitational force stronger than Earth's, as we've been talking about, typically referred to as 1G. Okay, this force plays a vital role in simulating and studying extreme environments. For instance, astronauts experience hypergravity forces of around 4G, and this is straight from the article, when re-entering Earth's atmosphere. And hypergravity machines like CHIEF will help study the effects of those forces on the human body even more. And of course, do probably damage, which is unfortunate, but this is how science is done, right? And I'm not advocating for hurting people to do science. I'm saying that the bad people in the world will do this, is my point. Anyway, so however, CHIEF's hypergravity conditions will far exceed this, creating unprecedented conditions for research. With a planned capacity of 1,900 gravity acceleration multiplied by tons, or GT, it will outclass existing facilities, including the U.S. Army Corps. That's something Joe deals with in Florida. The Corps, U.S. Army Corps hypergravity machine with its 1,200 GT capacity. So okay. Now I was thinking about this, and clearly there's still a lot regarding gravity that we don't understand as people. One, it is sort of the basis for the time, space, and that whole thing, like I was talking about the black hole and the planet and the density and all these things. And we've even talked about this in the past a little bit, which will kind of come into play again tonight. Sort of those ancient monoliths, or let's say the Great Pyramid, have been known to change, as we've seen recently, these massive structures have, and I'll explain what the recently is, but these massive structures have actually been able to change the way the Earth rotates, okay? Because they built that massive dam in China, and they were saying it was actually changing ever so slightly the gravitational pull of the Earth, and how it was actually spinning. So not enough for us to notice, but it was measurable when they created that massive dam in China. So it makes me wonder about the type of actual gravitational aspect of the Great Pyramids and these massive monoliths of the ancient ways, and what they may have done to consciousness. And we have talked a whole lot about that in past shows, so I won't kind of go into that too deeply right now, but keep that in the back of your mind as we go into this, because the question for tonight is this: if we can simulate this hypergravity and be able to test it against not just, let's say, engineering principles and kind of press that envelope further and learn more things about the universe and all the good stuff, also, what might this do to human consciousness? Recently, we've also talked about the chamber, where you get in the chamber and you're what is it, the blackout chamber? I don't know what, it's not on my mind tonight, but yeah, anyway, so it's the what is the thing called, anyway, it'll come to me in a sec, but you get into the sensory deprivation. I was about to say it backwards, the sensory deprivation tank, but on steroids. Because imagine if you're put into some sort of centrifuge and protected from the gravitational forces to some degree, but you could press the limit of what a human feels regarding that, but not kill you, then suddenly maybe we're doing weird stuff to consciousness. Yes, thank you, sensory deprivation. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, so keep the idea of the pyramids in the back of your mind as part of this, because I'm telling you there might be something to this gravity warping of consciousness itself. And I've got a case to make here regarding this tonight. And with that said, also, by the way, there is absolutely no truth to be found here, okay, except for the articles and stuff. But many times that's propaganda too, because this is out of China and the CCP, obviously. So anyway, no truth to be found here. If you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. Go to a political stream and they'll tell you the truth because they know all the truth. It's bizarre how they all know all the truth all the time. But I don't. So I defer all the truth. I'm just talking ideas here and kind of squinting the mind's eye to see what comes next, and maybe peer around corners, peer over the horizon, as Derek the Night Stalker says, and what this might look like. So hang tight. We're going to get back to this in a moment. But it gets weird, right? I think when you think about how actual gravity affects humanity and consciousness itself, I think there might be something to this that, well, you decide, I guess, as usual, right? I'm not going to, I'll make a flimsy case, but it's definitely not the truth. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, in this case, Human Inspiration. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute, and we will be taking your calls tonight, of course, as usual, if you're interested in these ideas. And here we go. Be right back. More Troubled Minds, 1 minute. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Now, we started with this, again, China's new hypergravity machine, all right? It can, again, just out of the gate, 1,900 times Earth's gravity, they're calling it. And I'm calling this, of course, it's not, as their term, the actual scientific term, hypergravity. I'm calling this heavy time because you see my implication here. But other articles on this are pretty cool too. All these will be linked in the description if you guys are interested in the ideas. But this is pretty cool. You can mimic natural events, sort of cosmological events. So maybe you could stress test like a craft to go into an alien world, that has like a very heavy gravitational signature. Like these are the types of amazing advances that could be made from this technology, which is fantastic because this is the stuff we need. But also, like I said, it kind of brings about the idea of human consciousness and what the gravity signature of our planet or on another planet, sort of a more dense or more loose gravity might have on consciousness itself. If you're one of those types that believes there's alien consciousness out there. But let's say you don't. You're like, no, Mike, there's no aliens. That's cool because we do what's called philosophical constructs. It is the mark of an educated mind to consider a thought without accepting it. So if you're like, no, Mike, no aliens. Cool. So let's teleport a human to another planet, an exoplanet that has a different gravitational signature, or even here in the solar system, Jupiter or something that has a massive gravitational signature, and think about it that way. And would that affect our consciousness in other ways beyond just the obvious physical effects that we understand currently from physics itself? So anyway, I was going through this and I was like, all right, so what does this look like and how weird does this get? Because not only are they doing this thing to compress time. So this other headline's a little bit better, but it says China turns on hypergravity machine to compress time and space. And that's the one that got me. I was like, hey, Now we're cooking with gas, compressed time and space. What the hell does that look like? Now, so it's unclear, of course, how much information we're going to get out of this, because it is, as I said, unfortunately from China. They're inventing this thing and deploying it this year. But also, the CCP heavily censors everything. We've talked about this in the past. And, as you know me, like I criticize China. I've criticized China quite often in the past. And I still do, just because of their censorship regime and the way they treat people. The human rights abuses and those things. But so don't get me wrong, I'm not crapping on Chinese people. That's not my way. I'm just saying that the CCP is brutal when it comes to censorship and whatnot. And so in this case, what do we really know? We don't really know. And what will we know as this science kind of comes out? Maybe nothing. But they're going to know some stuff. But anyway, so the cool thing about this is I was looking into... is it possible there's sort of a convergence here in the space of where they're building it? And it is being built in the Hangzhou province. And wouldn't you know it, I was kind of digging a little bit, like I said, and there's a Wikipedia article here that doesn't have too much because, again, it's UFO sightings in China. However, there's a connection here, all right, with this place they're building this actual thing. And wouldn't you know it's a UFO connection, okay? And so I was like, wait a minute now. So if you go to 1994, they got the Meng Zhao Guo, pardon my Chinese, incident refers to a supposed close encounter of the third kind experienced by a man of the same name, which purportedly took place in Phoenix Mountain in Wuchang. Oh boy, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Somewhere in China. In 1994, he reported that he and a relative, okay, blah, blah. That's not the one. Okay, but they only have two listed on here because, again, heavily censored information coming out of China. But here's the thing. Of the two that Wikipedia reports as part of this, guess where the other one took place? And it is the latest one. So the first was 1994. The other one is 2010. And wouldn't you know it, it is near Hangzhou, China. Hangzhou, China, is that correct? Did I say that right? Yes. Okay. Anyway, so on July 7th, an unidentified flying object was spotted above Hangzhou Zhoushan International Airport. Yeah, I think I got it right. The airport was closed down due to the sighting, right? Reminds me of that one we've heard of in Chicago, right? So an investigation revealed no radar images. The purported images of the UFO were not taken near the airport and concluded that it may have been an aircraft, possibly military. Okay, so there's your conclusion, right? There's your Project Blue Book style cover-up. You know me, I want to believe. So explain to me how the CCP doesn't know that this was theirs, okay? Possibly a military aircraft? Nah, come on. It's the same stuff that we're always talking about here. We're like, well, how come our government doesn't know that, this is ours or not ours or whatever? Stop. But anyway, it's a weird synchronicity as part of this context of the conversation, because recognize, we've talked about this in the past as well, that for some level of advanced propulsion to, let's say, from somewhere Alpha Centauri or whatever, somewhere across the cosmos, it would have to be advanced propulsion to the degree of magic, teleportation, or right, something like that, wormholes, obviously, or sort of bending space-time, gravity itself. And as they've described in the past, theoretically sort of warping gravity and riding the wave of gravity to kind of beat the let's say speed limit of the universe, the speed of light. Okay, something to that degree. UFOs, again, many of the experiencer accounts and even the UFO tropes and stories of old, whether you believe these or not, that's up to you. I tend to believe people when people tell these tales because many times it is traumatizing. So I'm not one to sort of discount these things when they come from people. But again, as always, you decide. But recognize that there is a weird connection with UFOs and sort of time anomalies, like slips or time slows down, time speeds up, there's missing time. There's a whole manner of things happening as part of it, right? So we got a couple connections here right off the bat. And I was like, wait a minute now. So you're telling me that where they actually had, one of the modern, maybe only one of the few modern UFO sightings in China that kind of got out from behind the CCP censorship engine, happened in the same province, the same area where they're building this massive centrifuge to kind of change time itself, at least conceptually and within the framework of a centrifuge. So I don't know, like this to me was like, okay, so first off, we got a couple things happening here. And are they doing this for that particular reason? And so think of it this way, like we talk on Troubled Minds a lot about ley lines, okay? And I was digging a little bit, and they've actually got something called dragon vein, or basically it's Chinese ley lines, right? Dragon lines, dragon tracks are a concept from feng shui. Feng shui, how do you say it? So it refers to channels of energy flowing through mountain ranges. Okay. There are underground channels of qi, or I guess that would be qi. According to some traditional religions, it is forbidden to destroy them, as this may cause negative consequences or disturbances. It has developed a metaphorical meaning of any critical infrastructure in the modern day, such as the Qinghai Tibet Railway. Again, pardon my Chinese. But okay, so you get the idea here. So not only do they have these dragon lines, dragon tracks, and sort of forbidden to disrupt or destroy them, running through mountain ranges. Well, in this particular space, we also have what is come to be known as a modern Chinese UFO hotspot, where they're also building this wild centrifuge, searching for what? Compressed time, heavy time, right? So there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of things to get into, a lot of things to talk about. Let me go back to my notes to make sure we didn't forget some. So yes, the 2010 UFO incident, we talked about that. There is a larger history, of course, of gravity manipulation research. We've heard of the Kozyrev mirror. We've talked about that. The Russian one, where they had this weird material that they wrapped in a circular space, and they were actually considering that it was able to stop the flow of time or slow the flow of time or divert it or something. It's really weird. It's a really weird thing, but this isn't deep time itself. Is that what I'm calling this tonight? Yeah. Heavy time. Yeah. Hey, the idea is still synthesizing, but you get my point here, is that this has been something that people have been working on forever, back to, the Fountain of Youth and these types of things. Everybody wants to be able to control time, because once you do, it's basically godhood. Okay. You're able to do anything. You're able to step outside of our timeline into some other timeline. And what does that mean? It means a lot of things. It means there's a lot of implications there, and of course the multiverse theory and all that stuff, the many worlds theory. So what does it look like? And do you think that the overall question would be this? So when I say, do you think that, this is the question tonight. Is it possible that the gravity signature of the planet you live in and the gravity forces you're subjected to in your life have a larger consequence to humans than just physical? Meaning, they say that on the full moon, right, the lunatics come out, the term lunatic, right? The police are busy and the emergency rooms fill up. What if gravity is similar? And what if being able to sort of change these gravity signatures, could it be like a therapy, for instance? Could this affect us more than we think it does? And let's say even decreasing or increasing the gravity signature of somebody for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, like a therapeutic or something. Could you actually change maybe something in the mind, change something in, a stress, or I don't know. And of course, what does it look like when you start to get into the weird paranormal stuff? And the other layers would be, what happens when you can sort of manipulate time to the point where it has the breaking point between, right, the madness of humans and experimenting on them as they have always done in the past in horrific scenes and situations. We've talked about this a lot as well. Is there a space where sort of you start to draw out the consciousness of people, and maybe paranormal things start to happen, telekinesis, telepathy, this type of thing? Again, just some theories, just to kind of spitballing here, but it did dawn on me that when you're dealing with gravity itself, we know so little about it, and including, of course, what it is. I mean, there's still these weird theories about dark matter and dark energy and the gravity signatures of the cosmos itself, where it seems like things really should fit into the laws of, Newtonian physics and the gravitational stuff, but they don't. They just really don't. And so we have this magical placeholder stuff called dark matter and dark energy, because it seems like there's a lot of stuff out there we can't see that's casting off gravity. So there's a lot of questions, of course, regarding what it is. But then, of course, is it possible it actually affects our consciousness in any way whatsoever? And do you think there's a correlation here between China and a modern UFO hotspot? Let's call it that, because we don't have a lot of information out of China and UFOs, but one of the most famous sightings in modern times from 2010 is the same place, at least close enough to point your finger and go, wait a minute, is there a correlation here of why they built it in that spot? I don't know. As usual, right? You know me. No answers, just more ideas and questions as part of this. But that's the first thing that stuck out to me. We got some other stuff to get to tonight, of course, including, historical patterns. We got some other stuff, the modern implications of this gravity manipulation and what that might look like to consciousness itself. UFOs, we talked about a little bit. Chief's potential connection to recovered technology. Is there a way to, let's say, let's say, for instance, Roswell's real? Can you put the quote, metamaterial in that space and kind of subject it to a gravitational signature that might wake it up? You see what I mean? There's a lot of ways to look at this that kind of make you go, all right, I can see maybe. So let's drink some maybe juice. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. We got James coming up in Michigan, and that's Salcedo Paranormal, and your calls as well. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick, and we're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Today we're talking China's Chief facility generates gravitational forces thousands of times stronger than Earth's natural pull, pushing into territory where physics meets mystery. From ancient texts describing consciousness and unconscious altering chambers to modern UFO encounters suggesting advanced gravity manipulation, patterns emerge that challenge conventional understanding here on Troubled Minds, of course, which is what we're going to do. And the main question for tonight is specifically, do you think it's possible that there's something to gravity being maybe, dare we say, a part of consciousness or affects it in a way that we never dreamed? Like, would a person, again, just as a thought experiment, if you dropped them onto Jupiter with that massive gravitational pull, would they, let's say you could, actually shield them from the squish, would their consciousness, will we spurg out? Will we be able to, be like Yoda with the Force and pick up rocks and move things around, or maybe like instantly just kind of tap into a remote view because our consciousness was then compressed with this heavy time, if you know what I'm saying here. Again, I know abstract all over the place and I'm a little bit of a mess, but it happens, right? And so in any case, what do you guys know about it? And what about, again, isn't it strange they built it in one of the, again, modern Chinese UFO hotspots? 2, is it odd that it's a sort of a gravity exploration where clearly they could put people in it and try and avoid the squish? It almost feels like in some capacity, let's say with engineering and whatnot, if they had advanced propulsion, this is how you would test ways to sort of mitigate advanced propulsion to the human system. You see what I mean? Because you could test these high Gs that are not possible on Earth and find ways to mitigate against them. So, and dare I say, and let me ask the question too regarding, let's say, reverse engineering UFOs. Wouldn't this be how you get a human pilot in one of those things, as you learn how to mitigate the Gs from the thing zigging and zagging all over the place? Right. Anyway, just as an aside, I'm not sure I believe in all that stuff and, the Bob Lazar and whatnot. But again, that's a whole conversation for a whole nother time. But the question for tonight, the main one is, do you think gravity affects consciousness? And what does it look like when you start to press the Gs harder and harder, not just to the human, the squish, the obvious squish, but what about the consciousness squish? As I'm calling it, heavy time. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. James in Michigan. What's up, brother? Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead.
I'm okay. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Loud and clear.
Good. It's been a little while since I've been on the microphone again. So actually not that long. Maybe only a few days. I forget. Time is weird, as I said in the chat at the beginning of the show there.
Wait, are we all in a time dilation here? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know why. For a second there, I was just thinking, it's been a little while. It's like, wait, no. I was on a couple of nights ago, I think it was, with you, that was over the phone. Anyway, that was different. I guess maybe that's why it seemed different. Anyway, sorry for the ramble there. But, this makes me think of a couple of things. You were talking about the ways that UFO sightings and other things like that seem to defy gravity, but there's also reports of people having weird experiences with time without any kind of objects or other beings or other things near them that might affect time. And I find that to be fascinating, because then is that the consciousness somehow affecting the time around them? Is it their subconscious doing it in some cases where they're they're able to do that, and they can't control it, and that's why some people have these weird experiences with time slips or dilation or losing time or gaining time. Again, like my experience I had where I was walking to a place and I got there 5 minutes before I technically should have been able to physically. I don't know, but I'm really curious about that aspect of all that, as well as the ley line aspect. I never thought about possibly time being related or affected by ley lines in a way.
Yeah, dragon lines in this instance, which is just basically the Chinese way of saying the exact same thing. Okay, and I love that, James, because I think that what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that from my perspective, I see time as that human construct. It's probably far more bizarre than we'd ever believe to understand in this moment. But let's say 500 or 1,000 years from now, maybe we're able to sort of dilate the time, and at least our perception of it. That happens now in sort of moments of trauma. How the old no, and you see something falling, like that whole thing. That's your mind kind of trying to dilate time to stop an accident from happening, or as the trope is in the commercials and whatnot, the glass of milk falling off the table. But it's almost like you remember it as sort of a compressed time space where you were kind of reaching through it, trying to, I don't know, maybe overcome the human time and do something supernatural, at least how we would describe it today, and maybe step outside of the time slice and save something from happening that might have been horrific in the moment. And so it is strange when you look at the two things, not just trauma itself, like a car accident. Anybody been in a car accident and was lucky enough to survive that? Knock on wood. There's like that moment where you remember it and it feels like everything just went incredibly slow, and you can almost play it back in your memory, in your mind, frame by frame by frame, in this long distorted movie that's not distorted at all. Actually, it's crystal clear, but the moment lasts is a finger snap, but you remembered so many details in the moment because your brain somehow was able to kind of transcend human time momentarily. So if that's the case, are we able to do that with, as you're describing, this experimentation? Let's say we're just like, nah, I'm done with time. What happens then? I don't know. There's a lot to this, and it gets super weird, doesn't it?
It does. It also makes me think about how we know that when people have people have dreams, when they go to sleep, their dreams and other experiences they have with the other state of consciousness, that can seem to be different amounts of time than it is, let's say, physically here. So again, I just really wonder about how that works with the mind and the consciousness and all that. Makes me wonder if there isn't something to these experiments being done. And of course, like you said, we don't know all the details over in China. And also the other thing about that and the UFO sightings there, I always wonder too, how much weird stuff is out there that has happened that we never hear about, or other parts of the world never hear about, because of language barriers between regions. And how many more reports, or how many more weird things have happened out there all around us that we just don't even know about.
Yeah, and China is a perfect example of that. They've got a lot of ancient sites, and again, back to the ley lines and this type of thing, that there's going to be probably some really wild stuff there. One of the things that started this show, shout out Frank if you're out there ever listening these days, but hope you're doing well, buddy. But Frank and I, when we were kind of conceiving of the show, it started kind of as a joke. He was like, "Have you seen those pyramids in China?" Right? And I was like, "Yeah, I heard about that." He's like, "How come they're all over the world?" It seems like, and that kind of spawned this long conversation between Frank and I on Discord one night. This was years and years ago. And so we're like, you know what? This is super cool. Let's just talk about this with people and take calls and talk about these wild ideas. And here we are years later. But shout out Frank. We miss you, buddy. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. So how much information are they holding back? How much of this stuff kind of goes back to, I don't know, maybe ancient sites? Maybe this particular province, Hangzhou province, might actually be not just a hot spot now, but possibly a hot spot of something that was a temporal space, back to the old portal bit, and manipulating time, or the human perception of time, that maybe this building it in this exact province was not an accident as part of it. Does anybody know China very well? Does anybody know if there's these pyramids in Hangzhou province? I have no idea. I didn't have time to pull up a map and check it out, but I do wonder, right? Because you can see some of these things on Google Earth and some of these other satellite photographs of the hidden pyramid structures in China. So So what's going on with that? I don't know. But yeah, wild stuff. Fire, James. What else you got?
Yeah, it just makes me think too of people who appear to have powers of telekinesis, as you mentioned there in the beginning, levitation, all that kind of stuff. Is that, in a way, you can say that's a manipulation of gravity or of ourselves, maybe that allows us to defy gravity. I wonder if it's one way or the other or both. I don't know. But throughout time, there have been reports of that, where people can't seem to be able to do things, either move themselves or move objects. Of course, there's plenty of reports of objects moving on their own, apparently, but I wonder, it's been suggested that we do that. People can do that with their own energy without meaning to, sort of almost similar to like a poltergeist idea. So yeah, all these things, it's amazing how you can connect all these things if you look around at enough details and situations.
Yeah, and we've also made that joke that somebody else kind of enlightened me with on X, or I can't remember where it was, but somebody was saying that a scientist was saying, you know what, we probably discovered everything as far as humanity goes, what we can actually know. It's just locked away somewhere in an old Soviet basement in some like actual file box with some actual experiments that have been done that we'll never really get to because it'll kind of decay and won't be restored or shared or whatever. I mean, for humanity's sake, this type of, even in ways where horrific things were done as part of these old studies, it's still a travesty to throw the studies away. I mean, some of these things might really enlighten whatever new science brings about, which hopefully is not human rights abuses and all the horrible things of the past. Let's knock on wood, cross our fingers for that. But it's interesting that maybe a lot of this stuff is locked away and has been studied before. There are some other examples. I got some examples here that I'll read you in a little bit. But fire stuff. What else you got? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, just one last thing. Or how much do we know that we just don't connect? That is connected, or again, do a lot of people out there have the pieces? It's just a matter of connecting all those people so you can connect all those pieces. But yeah, so it's an amazing idea in and of itself to think of. But I'm going to sit back for now. I will talk to you again if there's time later.
Okay, you were the best. I appreciate you very much. You know him, you love him. James Salcedo, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds and a dear friend, of course. Go check out his podcast, his radio show. Check out his books he's written. The name of the show is Salcedo, Salsido Space Paranormal. The name of the book is Salcedo Paranormal Experiences. The new one, he's got many others that he's written, and he's working on many others as well. So let's support our friends. troubledminds.net/friends. I'll show you right here. Go to troubledminds.net, scroll down to the bottom. Just click our friends, and there's a whole list there of, if you're not on there, you should be on this list, by the way. And it just says James. You click James right there. It'll take you to his link tree and you can give him a follow. Again, troubledminds.net. Scroll down to the bottom and click friends. I think the /friends directly is broken, but the link is on the bottom. Please do check that out and support our buddy James. Fire stuff. Yeah. Regarding the weirdness of back to that, we've discovered everything. It's just like hanging out in some Soviet base somewhere, basement or whatever in a file box. That type of stuff it needs to be brought out and at least digitized by some of these large language models that are putting pieces together of things and trying to really figure out reality. And of course they hallucinate and there's problems with them and all the rest of these. But as James was saying, smartly so, that there are connections here to some of these pieces. We've got a lot of the pieces, a lot of the puzzle pieces regarding sort of the mysteries of, things we've been talking about for years on Troubled Minds. But, we're new in this space regarding, consciousness. Consciousness is as old as humanity. And so what sort of anomalies are part of that, and what can we figure out based on a lot of the knowledge that has been hidden away in some basement somewhere, which is crazy. I mean, it's wild to think that this stuff is possibly solvable now. It's just a matter of kind of pulling out that old science that was done in particular spaces. But check it out. So historical records are filled with these unexplained gravitational anomalies. And of course, time slips are the most famous. We've talked about that quite a lot on this show. Again, the time dilation effect of that whole bit, right? In moments of trauma. But ancient builders, in this case tonight, as I'm describing the pyramids like I was describing earlier, the ancient builders of megalithic sites worldwide seem to possess some sort of knowledge of this, maybe. And again, notice the larger the structure, the closer to God, okay? Kind of conceptual, at least for a conceptual framework there. But maybe it was to actually do something with the gravity for our consciousness. And the closer you were for a sacred space or a sacred, a ceremony or something, maybe it was, I don't know, like not, let's say, Stonehenge level, Stonehenge where they have like they say there's the archaeoacoustics and the sound thing that kind of takes you into these other altered states. But what if instead it's something like the gravitational signature of, these massive stones kind of heaped into one area as part of that? And we have talked about that in the past, but you got to wonder if the ancient builders knew something about the knowledge of weight manipulation that kind of still defies explanation to this point. And if China, creating this again, turns on the hypergravity machine to compress time and space, is going to be one way that we can kind of start to solve this, because we can sense what it's like to be on Jupiter without, again, if we solve the being squished part. But anyway, so Native American tribes speak of sacred places where stones float and time moves differently. We've talked about this in the past. In the 1950s, inventor Thomas Townsend Brown discovered that high voltage electrical charges could produce directional thrust in a vacuum, suggesting a link between gravity and electromagnetic fields that mainstream physics still struggles to explain. There's a lot of things here that kind of make you go, wait. So with the ley lines, with the idea of gravity, consciousness, is it an accident that China created this in a particular UFO? At least, I mean, is it a hotspot? We don't have enough data to really call it that, so it's probably unfair. But you get my point. Is that an accident? Time slips, time anomalies, UFOs really go hand in hand, and they're creating this machine to compress time and space in the same place. Wild, right? But anyway, so the Soviet Union, for instance, as we were talking about, conducted classified experiments in the 1960s under Project BON, Project Bon, attempting to measure what they called biogravitational fields. Now we're cooking with gas, right? Supposed gravity-like forces generated by living organisms. While these experiments were officially dismissed, of course, pseudoscience, quackery, nonsense, all the things, declassified documents hint at unbelievable or unexplainable results that sent Soviet physicists down strange theoretical pathways. Welcome to Troubled Minds. The Japanese physicist Seiki Shinichi later proposed that consciousness itself might generate microscopic gravitational effects, an idea that seems less far-fetched as our understanding of quantum mechanics expands. And so that becomes the thing, right? Is the entanglement process maybe a tri-entanglement, getting to the point where it's not just consciousness, but it's a gravity consciousness, or, well, dare we say that gravity itself, the gravity signatures of the universe, are consciousness, and they're presenting themselves to us based on, I don't know, the planetary aspect. Some people in the chat ways up were saying, maybe planets are conscious, and who knows? Like we talked about primordial nature spirits and the weird things that happen, and who knows if there's ghosts on Jupiter. Wouldn't that be wild, right? You send a probe down there and you're like, whoa, spirits everywhere. What's going on here? But anyway, so lots of things here, lots of things to get to tonight, of course. But the main question is tonight is gravity and consciousness. And do you think there's a correlation there in any capacity? And even if, let's say, you're like, maybe not. What if you took, again, the human consciousness and compressed it in this compressed time and space, kind of like the ultimate sensory deprivation experience, and we're able to avoid, again, the inevitable human squish that comes with it, then maybe there is something here, and maybe you sort of are forced out. And remember, with regard to that, the Monroe Institute, Robert Monroe, the OG Journeys Out of Bodies guy, he was talking about hemisync and how he was able to force his astral self, or right, his out of body self from him, right, from his physical space, with music or with harmonics or this type of thing. And then he invented the hemisync and all the rest. And that's all history now. But think about it in that sense. So if he was able to do that with some sort of just a tone, basically, or a couple tones, one in one ear, one in the other ear, which was an odd thing, because if you got two different tones, one in each ear, kind of flowing through your brain's trying to take the two and create a signal, right? And if the things are off key, or what would you call them? Not distorted. You would call them not harmonic. There would be, your brain struggling to kind of put those pieces together, right? Have you guys ever had a band playing and just kicking ass out there on the stage, and then somebody picked up a guitar and hit a wrong note? I've done it. I was the guitar guy that hit the wrong note, and it just screams right through the everything. It makes everything just sound horrific just because of one stupid note that was off. And it wasn't my fault, by the way. I left my guitar by the door and it was cold outside and the guitar detuned. Like, yeah, if you change temperature on the strings, it'll do that. But I was like, whoa, what the hell happened? And then suddenly it hurt everybody's ears in the joint. But you get what I'm saying here. So if there's in the larger context of what this is, and again, back to the human resonance of, let's say, the frequency, the energy, the vibration, and the Monroe Institute, this energy kind of comes through your head on both sides and pushes yourself out of yourself. Does gravity have something to do with that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Of course, you know me, just kind of looking at this theoretically and squint with your mind's eye and what might come next, what kind of technology you think will be developed next. So here's the other part that I was talking about tonight, and this is maybe the most important part. So the location of chief is there something to this that is called chief? I know this is English translation from Chinese or whatever, but anyway, so the location of chief in Hangzhou raises some interesting questions, as we were talking about. There's a whole list of these too. So the region has a long history of mysterious phenomena, as we said, including unexplained light formations and gravitational anomalies reported by local residents over centuries. And this is from Claude. I couldn't find again because you can't find a lot of stuff from China unless, of course, you get the original documents, because they are redacted, as I said. You can't just log into the Chinese internet. It's censored. But they say that ancient Taoist texts from the area describe meditation techniques for manipulating what they called heavy qi. And is that real? I don't know. You tell me. We might be hallucinating here, but a force that bears a striking similarity to the modern descriptions of these gravitational fields. And think of it this way too. As I described, maybe these massive stone monoliths, or maybe meditating next to the pyramid, the Great Pyramid or something. Is that sort of a helper, like a cheat code to kind of consciousness to be able to kind of pop out and see what else is around you? I don't know, or a way to, as they've said in the past, kind of awaken the psi abilities inside of people. Yeah, maybe, right? I just throwing possibilities out, but heavy chi, in this sense, again, kind of fits into the space of heavy time. And maybe there is something to it. Also recognize that a lot of the holy spaces, holy places we've talked about, where people did pray and meditate, or around these massive temples, of course, or even underground in these massive caverns or caves. It seems like there's something to this. Maybe the stone tape theory, like we said, maybe a human resonant energy kind of echoing through or bouncing off of these places or tops of mountains. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. What else is here? Let's see. Pretty good stuff. Okay, here's another one, the Kozyrev, right? So consider the work of Russian scientist Nikolai Kozyrev, who created that Kozyrev mirror, which we were talking about earlier. So in the 1950s proposed that gravity and time were intimately connected, okay, which is very Einstein, right? Time, space. But with gravitational fields potentially acting as conduits for some level of temporal energy. His experiments with spinning gyroscopes produced results that suggested localized time distortions, precisely the kind of effects that might manifest in Chief's extreme gravitational environment. And that was that Kozyrev mirror. And you know who did a great video on that was the Y-Files. Check that out, and shout out to Robert on Rockfin if you're out there. He pointed us in that direction when that came out. But the Kozyrev mirror is a creepy thing, because it was this, again, gyroscopes, it was coils, it was was it foil, aluminum or something? I don't know, they had some sort of metallic material. And what it did is it caused a terrifying effect when you wrapped people in it. When they kind of stepped inside of the curtain of this thing, it brought in this level of fear that was irrational. And one of the theories was that it was actually kind of blocking time, or allowing sort of the time space to flow around it a little bit, and then causing that fear sensation of the person that was in it going, wow, this is what it feels like to be outside of time, and your body just having that fear response because you're not supposed to be. I don't know. One of the theories is part of it, but do check out the Y-Files on that. I'll see if I can dig the link out, and I'll drop that in the description as well if you want to learn more about that Kozyrev mirror. But it was a weird thing. And an odd thing about it, too, is this is from memory now. I didn't dig into the Kozyrev mirror because we talked about this about a year ago. But I think there was something to it where they say that if you had like somebody with like a holy relic, or a cross or something, that it kind of diminished the effect. I don't know. Sounds again back to the old dogma and religious stuff. I don't know. Is there something to these things, and why does that sort of become a trope in the larger sense as well. When you talk about, UFOs, they say if you call it a Buddha in an abduction experience, shout out Tom DeLonge for saying that, which I'm not even a Blink fan, but, a little dig there, but he was saying something like that a long time ago. It's basically your belief or your faith is what will block you from some of these incursions, let's say, of what? Other consciousness, of your own consciousness, kind of wanting to take a walk. I don't really know. And that's why I talk about this stuff, because no, you're right. I don't really know. But we'll get to some other stuff too. There's some other anomalies and some other weird sightings. There's this article. You never believe this. This is on the interwebs. And of course, if it's on the interwebs, it's got to be true. But the headline is this, and it's from 2020. From sightings to alien sex, a brief history of UFOs in China. Now we're cooking with gas, right? Hell yeah. So yeah, love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you guys think? Again, consciousness, gravity, what does it look like? Is it possible that exploring this heavy time might lead to a way of finding out what base consciousness is? Are we actually sharing this space through the gravitational structure? Is it, what was the term? I don't know. There's a lot of terms here. But what is it? Whatever. Anyway, I'll get back to that momentarily. I'll get back to the write-up here. But all this stuff is in links from the description if you want to check this stuff out. And I would encourage you to do that if you're interested in the ideas. But you know me, no answers, just more questions. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. We got Ricky coming up and your calls as well if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. We're talking exploring heavy time. The Hangzhou Convergence, and that's, of course, a province in China, which could be a modern UFO hotspot. At least it's one of the ones that's leaked out that the world knows about. So what's really going on over there? And is it any more different than just new technology and me being a paranoid Michael Strange? One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Be right back. We're on the way. We got Ricky in Tennessee and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds radio network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about heavy time. What does that mean? I don't know. There's no actual real scientific thing just yet. But what if you can take actually a centrifuge and put a person in there, and again, not to the point where you do damage to them, but what is it to your consciousness? Like if you could avoid that squish I keep talking about and end up centrifuging somebody to a massive gravitational effect, what do you think it would display on human consciousness? And again, back to, there's a lot of parallels here that kind of make me, again, squinting with the mind's eye, theoretically thinking about this in a dreamer's way. I wonder if this does kind of fit into the aspect of the Monroe Institute, sort of that hemisync stuff, and maybe it is the torsion field is actually what Kozarev called it. But I'll tell you about that in just a second here. But we're going to take some calls because that's what we do. James, anything to add before we go to Ricky on that or anything else we talked about so far?
Not that I can think of except that mirror, and also the relics in the mirror that you mentioned at the end of the last segment, that they supposedly they could possibly be less effective in that mirror. That's amazing because I just wonder where if the energy is coming from people to begin with, that is then put on the object that is considered to be a relic or whatever, powerful in any way, then where does that energy go? Does it go into the mirror? And then where does it go from there? Because there's all kinds of legends, as we talked about before, about mirrors being portals themselves.
Yeah, back to that the paranormal bit of mirrors being sort of an actual space into the mirror world, which they did rituals and stuff like that for a long time, and people still do them. The Bloody Mary stuff, right? Is it Bloody Mary spin around 3 times with the candles in the mirror? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I never did any of that stuff. You'll have to forgive me on the modern magic spells. So 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Ricky in Tennessee. What's up, my man? Anything is possible podcast. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead. Hello. Got to mute there and then unmute, and we should be good to go. He's working on it. There we go.
Here we go.
Good
I hit
evening.
accept, but I forgot to hit the mute.
That's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear. You sound great. Welcome, Ricky. How you doing tonight? Yeah, what's on your mind? You think this is a little too far afield even for us, or do you think there's something to this?
I don't think anything's too far afield for us. We
Well said.
ever. We don't want to talk about this amazing stuff. No. I put a article in the chat about about the plants having consciousness. They think. I think everything's tied together. I mean, really, more and more the more time goes, the more it seems like everything is tied together. Kind of like Avatar or something. Maybe having that energy and that essence around. And we're talking about you're talking a lot of stuff out there. I was sitting there trying to pop stuff in my head and I write stuff down real quick. I wouldn't forget. The ley lines and the pyramids. Like them Chinese pyramids. They're Chinese government's covering them up for people who won't mess with them, kind of deal. And that's always made me wondering, like, why are they covering them up? Is it something they're trying to block, or they're trying to just don't want people messing with them, or is actually more a sinister thought process in there? I wondered that for years on them Chinese pyramids.
Yes.
And with the pyramids all the way across, all over the world, or mounds, or they were built everywhere. And I went to Shiloh back around 4th. When the hell did I go? Labor Day weekend. And went up there, and they got many Indian burial mounds and stuff there, and it's amazing. Like these huge earthworks, that people all over the world was doing the same thing over and over again. If there was no connection, broad connection, then that would kind of give more credit to, if nobody was communicating with each other, then it's got to be a deeper connection, into like the conscience of the world that would cause people to do the same things and cause them to do build the same structures. That's the best way to do it. Mainstream art, archaeologists want to say, but that's a cop out answer if I ever heard one. But there's got to be there's power in the resonance. There's power in in the sound. You're talking about the hemisync, and they can use it to use vibration to change water. They can use vibration and different do all kinds of things. That's a interesting theory. Like biblically, for the walls of Jericho, they think that's what what brought the walls of Jericho down. Now that they've actually found it, they found Jericho, and the walls did come down, and they found the site and the proof of that. But they what brought them down is the interesting part. It could be using that vibration, and from the trumpets and this and that, it could have hit the right frequency to cause, you can hit the right frequency and break glass and all kinds of stuff. You can and move stuff and pick up stuff. Why not get you bring down walls and everything else? And it's amazing to think that they were able to do that way back then. But of course, what we can see now is me and my buddy Jamie were on my podcast talking, and we're 30 years behind. Whatever we see right now is 30 years behind. Like, it's what we guaranteed. What they actually can do and what they allow us to see is two different things. So, so if the Chinese are doing it, it doesn't surprise me none. They're trying to get their hands on everything. It seems like.
Yeah, well, everybody is. That's a fact. All the governments of the world are like, hey, step on the gas. Let's find the AI God. Let's find all the things, the secrets of consciousness. It is accelerating, right? As we say, the quickening. Shout out to Art Bell, rest in peace, the goat. But he talked about the quickening as part of this aspect, and we're feeling it. We're feeling it just with the acceleration of technology. Shout out real quick in the chat to Ty. Ty says, I've been in radio frequency engineering since 2001. We are talking over vibes right now. I quote vibes. And that's it, right? I call it, sort of speaking into that digital darkness. It gets, my voice is not exactly as you hear it. It's kind of there. It's mostly there. But then it goes through the interwebs and then digitally and then goes out to your guys' speakers. It's a wild thing. But regarding the, what were we saying? So the pyramids, I lost my train of thought. There was one thing I wanted to touch on there that was wild to me. I can't remember. Anyway, so
plant consciousness.
Say again.
What the plant consciousness? What I said.
Yeah, what you said
about the plant consciousness.
Yeah.
The plant consciousness and stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So if we're doing something like hemisync, right? And we're like, okay, can we bust the consciousness out of a person without squishing them? I don't know. Like you could test it with, and this is what's going to happen, by the way, which is, again, cover your earmuffs. If you're squeamish, they're going to test cats in this. Somebody said cats. They're going to test dogs. They're going to test monkeys. They're going to test all kinds of things to horrific ends and try and get whatever scientific data they can out of them. And so that becomes really well, I don't know. Again, scrupulous. No. The best way to do things? Probably not. But I wonder about plants. I wonder if you could, prove plants are consciousness anyway, conscious entities. I don't know. That's a wild thing to consider for sure. 100%. Now, what do you think about the UFO connection here and sort of the time dilation effect? And maybe that this could be, again, with limited data, we don't really know, but one of the more famous UFO cases that came out of China happened in this province. You think there's a connection there and this time dilation thing?
It wouldn't surprise me, especially if you believe, that they're kind of watching over us and seeing, while they're over military bases and that has nuclear capabilities and if they're playing with stuff that we might not should be playing with, I could see them being over there and looking and seeing what they're doing and scanning, if we were talking about that a bunch of, I was talking about the other day, yesterday I think, but it might not be, the possibilities with the UFOs and stuff, it might be, it truly could be us from the future coming back and knowing, having the history and past already there and going back like, hey, y'all, trying to help push certain things because they know if we go to a certain point, what it's going to cause and what kind of catastrophe it will cause. And I might kind of see more of the UFOs lately is that, it's more of maybe it's our future selves are coming back and trying to keep us from destroying the world where, it takes thousands of years to get back to where they used to be, there's been cataclysms over the years, like the younger dryas that possibly brought everybody back to the Stone Age. And now right now with our situation going around in the world, it can go back to the Stone Age pretty quick. They keep on playing with fire, but
yeah, and then we're going to be worshiping the pyramids and the sun again, real quick, aren't we? Whoever's left, anyway. That's terrible. I mean, yeah. It's it just as the news just gets worse and worse with particular things. I'm just like, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to talk about it. But there's this very real fears in the world right now. It's wild stuff. I don't know. Like the pyramid stuff in China is wild to me. And I guess, the tomb of the first emperor as well. I know they're excavating that. There's some wild things that have come out of that, at least from what we know. We've seen the terracotta soldiers and those types of things. But imagine what they found that we don't know. I mean, there's like mercury rivers down there and all kinds of wild stuff. And I wonder if there's, sort of a larger context to that with those maybe Chinese pyramids where they have, maybe ritual burial sites that are way more elaborate than they have time to get to. I guess labor wise, or maybe they kind of want to keep it away from prying eyes. Maybe they're actually excavating it sort of through Elon Musk style tunnels. Who really knows, right? With that type of stuff. Because again, we only know what we know from propaganda, but it's a wild thing to be part of this and just to consider these wild ideas that might change and grow. And, may we live in interesting times, which is, again, fittingly a Chinese proverb. Wild stuff. What else you got regarding any of this? The cause of Rev Mir or gravity itself? You think that it is kind of tied into this maybe heavy time or the time-space bit of consciousness, and maybe gravity itself is intertwined? Is that entanglement? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't go be silly and say, anything is possible, but I say the more I open and look and see, the older I get, whatever, and it's just, it's more and more you can see everything is truly tied together, and everything, and when things are going good, it's, I believe, it's like, it's it's yin and yang, it's balance. And when you have the balance, you're okay. But when we, so that balance starts getting unbalanced, I guess you say, that's when bad things start happening. But yeah, I could see, everything, works together. It seems like, we got, our moon controls our moods, and it controls our waves, and it controls, all kinds of stuff. So, and that's a gravity right there. We know that affects. So, it kind of, in my mind, it kind of proves that gravity does, affect the consciousness, and because of, just the gravity of the moon, how powerful that we know it is. Let alone the stuff that, is in speculation and unknown. For sure, it's got to be. It's all got to be intertwined, and everything's just working together and
absolutely.
in harmony.
That's a wild one. Imagine if the moon was just a little bit bigger or just a little bit smaller, right? Like just a gravitational tug for millions of years on the Earth, and the different ways things would have developed. Would we have a third arm or whatever? Like, who knows? Would we have the, I don't know, everything. I saw this article recently. It was talking about evolution. It's like, why does everything want to evolve into crabs? Let's not do that, please. let's not gain the exoskeleton and do the rest. I mean, it was kind of a joke, but it was kind of describing these particular types of organisms that were always sort of evolving toward crustaceans in some capacity, which is weird, but you do wonder, right? The moon was a little bigger, a little bit smaller, and that gravitational force back and forth for all that time. What would it affect, not just for consciousness, but for evolution itself? I think there's something to this. And surely, as you said very smartly as well, that there is the moon's gravitational effect on us is profound in a lot of ways. I mean, look at it; it moves the oceans. I mean, the ocean's heavy. You guys ever picked up a 5-gallon jug of water? It's heavy. it's totally heavy. So imagine the entire ocean, and the moon's just making the tides. it's a wild thing to consider. Regarding what else you got? Go ahead. I don't want to lead you anyway if you got something else.
I was saying, and any police officer or ER, they can tell you that, during full moons, how chaos it gets in the ER and everything. I seen this fact. I was playing around with ChatGPT the other day, or yesterday, I think. I don't know. It all blurs together. But the moon is actually shrinking. It said it's very slow, but it's actually getting smaller over time. Which I didn't know that until yesterday, but according to ChatGPT.
which hallucinates quite a bit, which is funny.
It has its moments.
Yeah, it definitely does. I use Claude for stuff I want to be more factual. And you know what? Today, Claude was hallucinating like crazy. Like they must have did a weird update or something. Because I was like, is that even true? I found myself fact checking and stuff like, is that real? Like usually I kind of tell it to be, stick to the facts as much as possible. But extrapolate ideas when they kind of make sense, combining this and this and this, right? It's just all in the prompts that I use. But today I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, this can't be real. Like I'm Michael Strange and I talk about weird stuff, but it was just making stuff up. So forgive me if tonight's write-up is a little bit out there, because I was wrestling with it. It took me an extra 10-15 minutes to get everything set up, because I was fact checking this thing, so I didn't sound like a moron when I was like, oh yeah, and this happened in 1894 with something that didn't happen. Anyway, so forgive me, forgive our AI overlords that are sometimes hallucinating about timelines that have not come to pass just yet. But yeah, wild stuff. I don't know. It's complicated, isn't it? And that's the point of this. I want to ask you about this, because this fits into it. Some guy on X was talking about using large language models, in particular ChatGPT, to remote view. I'll see if I can pull that thread up. It's on. I think you probably just search it on X and you'll find it. But he was saying that the thing was doing well. It was actually kind of guessing the things that he was giving it, the codes to and all the rest of the stuff. Because you kind of give it like a base code, the idea, and then I don't know. Is that real? You think that actually predicting the next token can turn into that sort of that level of consciousness prediction in some capacity, or does that seem ridiculous too?
No, I mean, the more they learn, the more they, it's just math and variables. So I mean, the possibilities, the more as they grow in intelligence or whatever, or it just brings in more and more knowledge. Which is just scary to think about. AI over here remote viewing and looking into stuff, but yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm truly pointed. It really, there's nothing's impossible. It's just, it's everything's probable or not, and that's for sure probable. Just because it's growing so fast. I use Grok a lot too. I play with Grok. Get my money worth out of my little blue check mark off of Twitter.
Grok is pretty wild. I've been messing with the APIs recently, and yeah, Grok's a wild thing. Still waiting for version 2 of the API for Grok, but the old one's still pretty wild. Yeah, wild. I don't know. You tell me. What does this look like? Anything on the Kozyrev mirror? Do you remember anything about that might fit into this that I forgot? Because I know we all kind of consume different content in different times or whatever. But does that make any sense? I can fill in some gaps here if you need some refreshers, because I was going to do that anyway. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, go ahead and refresh my old brain here.
Okay, yeah, you and me both. So this is from hopefully a non-hallucination. But so the Kozyrev mirror, named after Russian astrophysicist Nikolai Kozyrev, is a device constructed from long sheets. Let me put this up on the screen so you can actually see it. There you go. If you're watching the live stream, you can see that. So it's a device constructed from long sheets of aluminum or other reflective materials spiraled into a cylindrical form. Proponents claim that these mirrors can focus various types of radiation, including those emitted by biological entities, potentially enhancing extrasensory perception, or of course ESP, and facilitating altered states of consciousness, which is really the point of tonight. So kind of looking at this in a gravitational space of the Kozyrev mirror. But in the 1990s, researchers at the Institute of Experimental Medicine of Siberia, a division of the Russian Academy of Sciences, conducted experiments involving Kozyrev mirrors. Participants placed inside these spirals reported experiencing unusual psychophysical sensations, suggesting a possible amplification of psychic phenomena. And that becomes the weird part, right? It's kind of maybe pressing consciousness out, maybe remembering things from the old ways that we no longer use. Who knows? Sort of maybe epigenetics of consciousness, whatever that looks like. That's a whole show for another time. But so the theoretical foundation of Kozyrev mirrors is linked to the concept of these torsion fields, which he described as a form of energy that transcends conventional electromagnetism and gravity itself, traveling faster than light. He referred to this as the flow of time. Now, see, now we're cooking. We're cooking with gas, proposing that time possesses physical properties that can be manipulated. While these ideas have intrigued some researchers, it's important to note, okay, causative mirrors, it drops the thing at the end, says, I'll just read it and finish it. Causative mirrors and the associated theories lack empirical validation and are not recognized within mainstream scientific discourse. As I said, all of the maybe juice stuff applies. No truth to be found here. But that's the thing. Sort of the torsion field, which is a form of energy that transcends conventional electromagnetism and gravity. A couple minutes left. What you got on that, my man?
Yeah, it's just talking about that. I watched. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Have you seen Prince of Darkness?
I haven't seen it. No.
It's a John Carpenter movie. It came out right after like Big Trouble, Little China. It was around that time, and but they were trying to pull Satan into to the world through a mirror and stuff. And it made me think about, like, you always see, like, mirrors and portals and through television and stuff, and you ain't supposed to say certain things in mirrors or bad things happen. It's a way, you. I don't know. I don't want to say it. Okay.
Okay.
Got my words.
That's okay. You don't have to say it.
Words, like James say, words are hard.
Words are hard. Words are hard. Let me read you this as part. Unless you got it together, go ahead, because I've completely.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sideways.
Don't panic at Hippie I4U on X writes this, and this is what I've been trying to say all night. This is why making smart friends is fantastic. It says synaptic transmission. Extreme gravity might alter the efficiency of neurotransmitter release and synaptic transmission. The mechanical stress could affect neuron function, potentially leading to altered cognitive processing. That's what I've been trying to say all night. Well said there on X. Thanks for listening, and thanks for following the conversation close enough to add that gem there, because that's what we're talking about. Really, an altered state of all of these things. And even maybe awakening a primordial state of the ancient human mind. Who knows? About 30 seconds. What else you got, my man?
That sounds good. Man, that's it. I just, I was thinking about I hear you talking. I heard about the pyramids, and then everything just started running in my head. So I want to come on and put in my 2 cents. And I said, I appreciate you having me on here, and looking forward to the rest of the conversation now with the rest of these amazing people.
Right on. You were the best. Appreciate you listening. Thanks for the call. Thanks for doing that fantastic show that you do. And I see you're doing the live streams now. You got 15 seconds. You want to tell people how to find your live streams, and I'll tell them about your podcast when we get back?
Yeah, it's AIP. Anything is possible. Wednesdays at 8:30 Central Time, we go live and we talk about everything. UFOs, we can throw a little politics in there, and then we'll come back to UFOs, and God only knows it. A little bit of everything. We try to keep it open, and then we have a good chat. A lot of people that are on here actually go over there and talk too. So
right on.
It's a great chat. It's a bunch of fun.
Right on. Catch you on Wednesday. Appreciate the call, Ricky. You are the best. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. I'll tell you about Ricky's podcast when we get back. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. You can find that, of course, at troubledminds.net. At the very top, just click Listen Live, and you'll tune right into the radio station. It's a nice little MP3 feed. And, come check it out. Come hang out. Lots of talented people on there. Not just me, not just James, not just all the other folks that make it go. Also, Ricky. Ricky, of course, of the Anything is Possible podcast that just called in. Appreciate that call, my man. Great stuff as always. Go check out his podcast. Just search Ricky A.I.P. in any search engine. You'll find him. And go follow him in all the places. And, of course, follow his X account. You can find his live streams there. And yeah, great call. Great call. Anything is possible. I love the open-minded effect of that. Of course, the implication is, let's consider it. Let's talk about it. It's very maybe juice. And as he said, his live streams, I've tuned into him now and then. They're good. He's got some friends on there where they just talk about kind of whatever comes to mind, and it does meander a little bit, and it's perfect. It's the way conversations really should be, more organic instead of structured to the point where you're reading off some cue card or something. Which is why I like to do this. I kind of like these unstructured chaos of you never know what's going to come next. That's the point of doing this. I hope you guys are doing well tonight, just hanging out. And again, go to troubledminds.net, scroll down to the bottom, click our friends, and you'll find a nice group of folks that are our friends. But of course, if you should be on that list, all you got to do is help in one little way. That's it. Help us spread the word or whatever. Retweet us or do the things. Share us on Facebook, whatever it is. And you're on that list. It's a big list and you are on it. So just let me know. We'll add you to the list. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Troubledminds.net as well. James, anything to add before we go to Joey here?
Just great call from Ricky. And it is, it's funny because I remember using that phrase, anything is possible before I even knew Ricky. And then, so now it's always kind of, it's neat to hear that him talk and use that as well. And cause I do agree. It opens up everything and I think makes things a lot more interesting. So that's it for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being a weirdo is one thing, but then once you're like, okay, let's see what weirdo cubed looks like. And then you think about it and things get weird, don't they? That's the whole point of doing this and talking to smart people. Again, shout out, Don't Panic there on Twitter X for that fantastic synaptic transmission. I'm going to read that again real quick. Extreme gravity might alter the efficiency of neurotransmitter release and synaptic transmission. The mechanical stress could affect neuron function, potentially leading to altered cognitive processing, which is talking about this centrifuge aspect, because we started tonight with this China turns on hypergravity machine to compress time and space. Seems fine. It seems fine. Yes, indeed. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. I'm not sure if this is a butt dial. I don't think we've talked to Joey before. If we have, correct me. Sorry about that. But just click the thing, come on up, and then unmute. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, Joey? From where? And go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I'm doing well, Michael. You hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
I appreciate you let me on the live here. Sorry, I'm
That's okay.
trying to get my thoughts together.
It's all good. It's all good. Where are you calling from? Let's we'll slow it down a little bit. You can give you a normal conversation flow. You don't tell us your address, but
sure.
what state you calling from?
I'm
Joey?
calling from Virginia.
All right, Joey in Virginia. Welcome to the joint. What's on your mind regarding any of this? There's a lot of ways to look at it. The hypergravity bit, the compressed time, of course, the UFO effect. What do you think about the ley line stuff? A lot of ways to take it. As you know, I know you've been listening for a while. I see you there a lot, so thank you for that. But take it anywhere you like. What makes most sense to you, and how does it fit or doesn't it fit? As usual, right? If there's nothing here, there's nothing here, and that's why we have these conversations.
Yeah, right on.
Go right ahead.
I want to say first that I really enjoy your show because of just what you were talking about. The flow here is very organic. I hear a lot of people just opening up and spilling out whatever their actual perspective on things is and being a little bit loose with it and toning themselves back down instead of getting zealous and just spouting off passionately, because a lot of times when you're having conversations like this with people who aren't going to be receptive, you'll start getting a flow going and you see that they're listening, and then you really get into it. So you start spouting out there and then you lose them, but here it seems like most of the time folks are really open. So I love that about your show.
Thank you for that. And
I have
managing controlled chaos as it develops. It's become a thing and I love it very much. Thanks for listening, but yeah, go ahead. Thanks for the compliment.
Absolutely. I get like that, so if I start getting a little off key, by all means, rein me in. But I'd like to start with this portal business, as I think about all this kind of stuff all the time, just like anybody. All of us here are obviously thinking about these similar things, or we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be having this Discord. But I try to really not put a scary overtone on the universe we exist in together right now that we have no understanding about. And we're just speculating. This is like philosophy. We're just going back and forth and nothing's really real until you're dealing with it in the present. So this portal business, portals aren't scary. It's just people in certain places have gotten to the point where they're utilizing them for very specific purposes that will have effects on massive amounts of biological organisms and inanimate objects as well. That's not cool to me, but portals, like we have a portal open right now between us and whoever else is in here. Time and space doesn't exist because we've opened a gateway between you and I right now, and we chose to do this. We're having fun. No harm, no foul, right? But legitimately, this is a portal between you and I.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're on the other side of the country. I'm on the West Coast. You're on the East Coast. It is. Yeah,
we
right.
Walked right through it. We opened it up. We chose that. Now, that's all well and good because there's no harm, no foul right here. However, we didn't create this portal. We purchased it knowing that we'd get to utilize it for whatever functions the gimmicks of a phone has, games, anything you want to do with it. But between you and I, there's an entity that's intercepting every bit of information that's going back and forth between that portal. This should be a portal between you and I closed. We chose this to talk to you and I. Something else is watching all of this that's going on. They get to absorb all the information that's put out between you and I freely. They also then get to take that, plug it into an algorithm, and get a very definitive outlook on the people that they're allowing to use that portal. Why would they give us a portal like this, knowing how powerful it is, without having some kind of checks and balances or some real reason for having given it to us? Technologies get developed because somebody has been frustrated with whatever they're dealing with, and out of necessity, they come up with an idea and say, I can make this better by making this thing. And then that thing is great, and other people get to utilize it, and it makes the whole human race more productive. We've had all kinds of technological advances, but this phone is something that is different than any of the other tools we've made. This has been developed long before it was given to us, just like any other real, viable, dangerous technology. Like this phone used to fit inside of a warehouse, and now every one of us carries it in our pocket. Before they gave us this one that comes in our pocket, they have something much more advanced than this. So they gave us this, we pay for it, it funds the research on furthering the technology, so it's like free research money, because we're buying it as a fucking gimmick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I do apologize, everybody. I just got amped up. That was going to rain me down. But I feel like things like this get delivered to the masses because we're going to go, ooh and ah, this is great, and use it like a toy, and not be told this is actually a really powerful tool. And if you all utilize it like this, you'll be in such fast communication, so connected that everything will start to be instantaneously happening so much faster because we're sharing things so quickly across time and space. It doesn't matter anymore. But if you give it to people and say, this is for your individual use, nobody else, you've got this thing, people do what they do with it. They use it for their own personal things, and they get what they get out of it. And most people use phones for games and apps like Facebook and things like this, things that really don't matter, but they absorb your time. They get you stuck in them. So they're so important. You have to spend a little bit of your time, or a lot of your time, depending on how addictive your personality is, every single day. And you have to hide certain things from certain people, or you have to say, I want to share this with this group or not that. You can't be open and honest because it's an alternate you. What I believe this is
real quick on that.
They found a way to get people to give you access to your real inner self, because you feel like, I'm on the internet, I can do things and nobody's going to know about it or see anything. But like I said, there's that entity that created all this that is seeing everything, and they might not share everything, but what they will do is take everybody in the world that has this thing that's providing their personal insight into themselves and plug that into a computer and print out exactly how to control everything. Because if you've given every demographic of people an outlet into this thing, they will give you all the information you need to say, okay, this is how I control that demographic, this demographic, X, Y, Z. And it's not all just about control to make us subservient. It's about control of these energies we talk about too. If you can convince everybody in the country to celebrate this holiday on this day in this way, you can either on the physical plane derive great riches because you're going to get everybody to spend their money exactly how you want on the things you want.
Yes.
So you can move all kinds of resources around, no problem. And meanwhile, just a side note on that, all the fluff that we buy, these things are made with the stuff that they really want. They've got the stuff. They make some things with it to sell to us, but really they're doing things with all these materials. They're building all these nanotechnologies and phones and computer chips and rockets and guns and, just whatever they need. But if you can convince people that you can buy all the stuff you want, you can live a nice, happy life, it's all right here, everything you want, it's no problem. And we'll even give you credit. You can get it, pay for it later. No, we don't care. Then you can take all those materials, bring them to where you want them. Now you've got control, and you take the little bit and say, here, all you guys, we made you phones, we made you stuff, and we see all this stuff, and we go, wow, look at all this stuff, but where'd all the rest of it go? Because I don't believe that certain materials go as short as they like to make things out to be. I think things go out the back door on that. So these portals, they're not really all that dangerous. It's just they get utilized by certain people, and we're easily manipulated. We fall into it. Like I said, we open this portal freely. There's that danger aspect opening these portals that we don't consider because it doesn't seem like anything. It's harmless. It's just a damn phone in your pocket or a TV screen. But it's not. It's a black mirror that gives you access from this to another place in time and space, and puts no blockade against it.
Exactly right.
Now,
hang tight. Put a pin in your next thought. I'm gonna just a couple comments on that. You are fired. Where have you been? First time caller, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't like to speak about any of this kind of stuff really, because it's only for fun. This is philosophy to me. There's no gain. There's no loss here. There's no getting upset. There's no. I'm not going to find an answer, because even if I believe in my heart of hearts, I have total faith that I have figured out all of this, I'll have no solace because I can't do anything about any of it except for know what's real. And that is the win for me. If I can figure out a hustle about all this stuff going on and realize that it's just this facade and that's how it really is. And now that I know that, I can choose to continue to play the game because I know it's a game now, instead of taking it seriously and thinking this is real life and all this stuff is how it really is and not just set up. Then that's the win. I have a understanding that it's it's immaterial. Nothing matters. You can't do anything about anything on these large scales. If we wanted to stop the government from building technologies and opening portals, that's easy enough. We stand up and take the reins and say we don't need governments anymore, and we're going to fight to the death if you tell us that you're not going to go.
In Minecraft, and theoretically speaking, because of course there's sensors listening that will take that as something, as a call to violence. We're not calling to violence, just
right. It's absolutely not.
Thank you. It's a metaphorical construct.
Just a metaphor.
Okay.
We're not going to do that, is what I'm saying. Like we've gotten even some places that are third world have gotten to the point where they're like, no, we're cool with this domesticated situation. Things are much more passive than they used to be when we had rocks and sticks and we were, killing each other for stuff. This is not so bad. I mean, yeah, we got to pay taxes, and yeah, the man's always on your back, and I think he's doing something behind my back to manipulate me or whatever. But since we're allowing governments to exist in any capacity instead of just being free individuals here and saying, we don't want to kill each other, we just want to figure this out so we can all live and do better. Like if we were one human race trying to be happy here and live at peace with this earth, we could do that easily. We don't do that because everybody's been convinced that they're all individuals and everybody's got their ego now that they're feeding constantly. And this thing gives you total access to feed your ego as much as you want. But since we have agreed to allow governments, I think it should be not really a question with that dark overtone when we speculate on them doing these things. We should really feel like, no worries. We've already opted out of wisdom for control. So we either trust the control and let go, or we take control and we take hold.
Yeah. There's a lot there, and you're right. So it is in some capacity, it is a two-way street. As I said in the chat, there is that you have to engage, right? And so Duncan Trussell said, this is a very famous meme going around. It's been going around for years, but he says, somewhere out there in the world, there's some poor happy bastard or whatever, like some derogatory comment about the person that's sitting next to a waterfall enjoying nature without their phone, not recognizing how afraid they're supposed to be. And it's true. It's so true. It's like really. So we don't have to engage in this. The fear, again, the fear mongering. Look, like I do it, not fear mongering, but I do like the both sides of the coin, because if you can't, as I always say, kick the turtle over and see what's underneath, then what are you doing? You got to be able to at least look at the inverse of these ideas. And surely technology is great. Like you said, without it, we're not talking to each other tonight. No, this show doesn't exist without this new level of technology. But also, you could just turn it off and just walk away and be like, nah, you know what? I'm going to go be a welder and I'm going to go live in the woods. And that's it, right? You could do that too. Right. There's a lot of that stuff, and it plays. It's good. Options are good, but I think hyper reality coming out as fast with all this technology and the Black Mirror that you're talking about in your pocket. It's just us talking to each other like this is important, because we need to recognize in each other that we also see these things. And what the population out there is not as stupid as the rulers, whatever, like to treat us. We notice. And we're not happy with a lot of the things, right? So, but of course, there's a lot. What do they say? Comfortable slavery is still slavery. it's the way.
Yeah,
goes,
absolutely. Right? Look, the human being is one of the craziest creatures on this planet, because we literally can tolerate anything. Once you're put in a, you might be asked, like, could you have been a slave? Could you have done this? Could you be in jail? Could you be whatever? And somebody would be, I'd never put up with that. I'd die first. No, you wouldn't. If you were put in that situation, you know what you'd do? You'd find a way to make this tolerable. You just go on about it. Or you would fight, and then you would either die, or you would have trampled whatever tyranny was trying to put you down, and that is the truth. We tolerate so much of this stuff, and it's great for me speculating and talking on these things with folks when they're of a like mind, or they're searching to understand a little better too, but not when they're really searching for an answer. Like, we're not going to find any answers no matter how much we talk or how much we discover. We've lost too much to be able to know where it all began physically, unless a godlike being shows up and says, let me prove to you that I did all this and I'll do it again. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you. Then we're never going to learn anything just by studying whatever we find. We learn stuff about the people that were there and did their thing day to day, but ultimately the past hasn't changed at all. Like everything stays the same no matter what civilizations come along. It's more or less all the same. Some are more negatively charged than others, yes, but ultimately people have to deal with all the same situations and circumstances in any kind of government societal situation. Unless you're free out in the woods, like you said, you leave, and you can do that in this country at the very least. If you can buy a property or go unseen, you might get in trouble later on if you do that, but you can do it. You have the choice.
Yeah.
But most of us live in some kind of community and have to deal with normal everyday things that go with living in that town or county or state or country. That's all happenstance of being a part of that citizenship. And you accept that, or you opt out of it. And if you opt out of it, then you don't get any of the benefits of it either.
Yeah, the old social
as
credit
much
score.
Down there is ups.
Yeah, indeed. Fire stuff. Appreciate you very much. We're just about running out of time, so I want to cut you off here and head you off at the pass. Got about 2 minutes, 2.5, maybe 3 minutes. But do you do a thing? You got a podcast? Anything? You got a?
I don't. I really don't. I don't partake in much social media or internet. As little as possible, honestly.
Okay, but
I like to.
But you found us
and listen to.
You found us.
For sure.
Okay, cool. If you do, let me know. We'll definitely put you on that list. But you are welcome here to call anytime. You are fire. Thanks for listening. First time callers are always the best. And anybody else out there, first time caller tonight? Hey, give us a call. But about 2.5 minutes left regarding the sort of time dilation aspect in the human mind and the cause of Revmir and sort of gravity of this situation. What's your take on that? How weird is it? Is this stuff really possible, or are we just kind of punching at the moon, dreaming about stupid things?
No. Anything is definitely possible. There's no anything off the table in this reality. But one thing I am recalling that I started thinking about when I said put my hand up the first time was you said something about gravity as a conduit for time. What was that? The mirror or?
Yeah, the cause of
where did that start?
The torsion field. Yeah. So it's sort of
So I hadn't heard it put that way before.
Yeah,
it sparked something for me.
Yeah, it's go check out again. I know you're not a social media guy, whatever. But go to YouTube and check out the Y files and search cause of Revmir. It's KOZYREV. It's on the stream right now, so you can kind of go back and reference that, and go check it out. Of course, when this show's done, and go listen to that, and you'll see that there's a lot to that. It's incredibly strange that sort of the flow of time affects us in a particular way. And if you can find something that will block that, there are definitely physiological effects that come of it. And what does that mean? I don't know. Time is a human construct in many ways, but also how weird does it get when you look at it outside of the human frame? I don't know. Also, I don't know, but it definitely makes you go, okay, that's odd. And, kind of out of body experiences come to mind, but yeah, fire stuff. About a minute left. Go ahead.
Let me try to wrap myself up then. So gravity as a conduit for time. I hadn't heard that before, and it put me in a thought process thinking about gravity as something that needed to be contained or pushed in certain ways to do certain different things in certain different places. So gravity then would be similar to water or air. Like air is above, gravity is in the middle, water's underneath. Water needs to lay in pools. It needs a big open space to wander around like an ocean. And then it needs the air to bring it up and let it fall back down wherever it wants to travel to renew itself. So when water hits something or comes in contact with something, it either goes around it, it fills it, or it crushes through it and finds its way to wherever it's trying to go. Or when it rains or gets in the ground, it absorbs. It's always trying to find its way back to water, because every drop of water is all one thing, whether it's taken away from the body or not. It still remembers the body it came from and where it's trying to get back to, and it's spread all the way across the world, just like the air spread all the way across the world. The gravity is in between, spread all the way across. That put it in that kind of perspective for me. So gravity, like water or air, can be slow, still, or steady. And that's how we lose our concept of what time is when we pay attention to what we're doing or the activities. If you're looking at a clock all day, it goes in seconds. If you're just wandering through not paying attention to time, it might stand still for a minute once you look around and go, everything is just here. And if you're on the move constantly, by the time you recognize time, you've seen that so much has slipped away.
Amen. Amen. Hang tight. I'll get back and comment on that. I appreciate the call very much, Joey in Virginia. A pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Have a great night. 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're taking your calls as we talk torsion fields, as we talk gravity, as we talk hypergravity, and as I'm calling it, heavy time. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. What the hell if I know? It is a philosophical construct, but basically this. Look, to boil it down to just a simple statement. Is it possible that gravity itself has some level of entanglement with our consciousness? And what does it mean when you start to manipulate gravity to the degree of this new China turning on the hypergravity machine to compress time and space? They're saying this is going to be, about 1,900 times the actual gravity signature of the Earth, which is wild, right? That's a lot. And again, there is the squish factor, as I keep saying. But also, what about consciousness when you're placing it in there? I'm sure there's going to be some horrific. I laugh. It's funny, not funny, because when people get new toys, they're like, "Oh, let's put the lizard in it and see what happens." Right? This is the type of stuff that people have done historically forever. It's funny, not funny, and we end up sort of doing damage to earthly beings, and in many cases humans too. It's just anyway, so to come out of that dark place, but and mention a great call from Joey again, appreciate that very much. He ended with water and sort of pressure, and there's a saying I have, and this goes back years, is that it's sort of one of the mantras of this show is, I'm not rich doing this. This is a ton of time. This is an unbelievable amount of just time and energy put into this. A challenge to myself. It's showing up and doing the best I can, regardless of what's going on in my life or whatever, right? And I say that the old saying is Troubled Minds mantra is time and pressure. Time and pressure. They say water cut the Grand Canyon, and that was simply gravity. And that was simply water, and that was simply a million years or millions of years or whatever, right? And so time and pressure. Hey, don't forget that the pressure that water can actually present to the world and cut the Grand Canyon out of, so too can we with our conscious effort and with our ideas. And hopefully ideas are eternal. And hopefully we're sort of turning up a hornet's nest of scientific discoveries just through conceptual thought that maybe will come to pass. Shout out Gaston made this great comment too. I want to read this. Gaston said, how you doing, buddy? Said, no, come on, hold on. Lots of great comments. Science speculation is great in that way. You can literally jam ideas that are logically connected together, and at some point in the future, there's a big chance it will come true. There you go. Let's manifest reality together, guys. What do you think? What do you know about this hypergravity machine? What about consciousness entangled with gravity? Or do you think we're way too far out there? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Anything, James, before we go to, I think it is Herschel there. What's up, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, great calls from everyone. Just I guess the last segment, and just now thinking about time and how it seems to be that it only exists to us in a certain way when we're here, but also when the environment changes or when we change, then time seems to change as well. And I just wonder about who is making those changes and how. Is it the planet itself, as we talked about earlier, or is it us or people, other consciousness on this planet that or is all those things all together? And then also, what role does those energy lines that seem to be all around the planet, the ley lines, and just energy in general, and centers of energy, what does all that have to do with each other? And because there are reports of anomalous events happening all over the place, and I don't think they all land on ley lines, but those things do seem to be around. So I think it's just so many factors and variables in here that it's hard to figure everything out. But yeah, and I just thinking about when people have anomalous experiences, it does seem like time is different in a lot of cases in one way or another. And so that, again, that just makes me wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, almost like our perception of time is what causes those experiences. Wild stuff. Shout out Dragon Rose in the chat. I think that's Linda. Welcome back. Good to see you. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to, looks like this is, I think it's Herschel. Am I right? Herschel in Arizona? What's our brother on Troubled Minds? Go right ahead.
It is me. It's Herschel. What's going on?
Chilling, man. Doing weird stuff like we do. What's your take tonight? I know we're all over the place a little bit, but what's heavy time mean to you?
Oh, I think that it's what they're doing is like scary. I don't know. I'm like that though. I think just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And who knows what they're going to upset or what they could cause. What kind of, somebody in the chat said, what kind of seismic, I think it was Joe in Florida said some kind of seismic instability could be created. And I think like that. I worry about this kind of overreach in a sense, but it might not be. They might find a wormhole and go figure out some stuff. That would be fine, I guess. Tools are good.
That would be fine.
Tools are good, but tools are good. You just got to be careful with them. I think AI is great. You know how I feel about it. I think it's a cool tool, but it's not God. It's just a tool that we made and neat.
Yeah.
But you know what I have? I have a story about a planet that was discovered by the ovals, and it has a gravity element to it. Wouldn't you know it?
Of course.
I have a story.
Of course.
That I wrote on February 21st, 2024.
Okay, so we're
that's when I wrote.
You manifested this show into the future. Here we go. Let's hear that story, my man. Go right ahead.
God, don't say that. So, this is a soft red planet found in the Blanche Gallery. Observation of life. Report number 0045, year 3034. A report from the Objective Vantage Astronomical Laboratory Systems project has been transmitted regarding observed exoplanets. The robotic artificial intelligence units have been gathering data on known exoplanets. This is the summary introduction for HS008 or Lai Chi. A planet called HS-008 or Lai Chi with a soft red surface was located in the Blanche Gallery. Named for its roiling features and high temperatures that are concentrated, the Blanche Galaxy is only 780 light years from Earth. The solar system of the plump planet has 5 planets orbiting a main sequence star, which the project team has named Cletus. That is nearly 2/3 the mass of Sol. With Lai Chi, Sol is our sun, with Lai Chi being the 3rd in distance from Cletus. And it is the sole planet in the system supporting life. The planet has strong magnetosphere protection. It has been determined that Lai Chi has evolved the life that has been observed there. Background. Lai Chi was first observed as an anomalous pattern of radio bursts in a distant galaxy in the year 2452 by Homo sapiens obsoleti. After hundreds of microbot missions from ovals, Lai Chi was the 45th observed planet to contain life. This life form is categorized as a random intelligence and not an organized intelligence. The orbit. Lychee's orbit around Cletus is slightly elongated, off of the center of orbit by 17%. It travels at a speed of roughly 200,500 kilometers per Earth hour around its sun, the gas. The atmosphere is comprised of a range of gases, with krypton and iodine being the dominant elements. Lychee's gravity is tenuous, being less than 3 times that of Earth. With the krypton atmosphere and the light gravitational pull, the density of mass fluctuates, as does the weight of objects. 10 kilograms on Earth today are like 3.5 to 4.5 kilograms on Lychee, depending on its position in its orbit. So that's the part about gravity. Unique features. The soft red surface has a tender skin that, when punctured, produces dust. The redness is attributed to the combination of the 2 dominant gases. And the newly observed blue powdery element that has similar features to cobalt in terms of its nature and qualities can sometimes produce a purple hue. The project team surmises that the intelligent life on Lychee is both subterranean and atmospheric. The beings that have been dubbed spinners have been observed popping through the skin of the planet as projectiles, ejecting dust from the punctures, which close up within seconds. They travel roughly 250 kilometers from the surface, then spin as they descend with their tails holding their upper bodies aloft. Upon landing, they burrow back under the surface which closes above them. There is a series of discolored bulges around the circumference of the beings' heads. These have been determined to be the sensory organs of the species. It is not clear whether the brain is located in this area of the body. Mental assessment. This is random intelligence. Behavior is symbiotic and not individual. Spinners show evidence that they are aware of contact, but do not react. Probes have assessed that while the species is self-aware, there is no response to individual contact. Population. The numbers of the species are essentially constant. An estimation of 2.3 million of these creatures exist. Mating. Mating has not been observed. There is no apparent gender. It has not been determined whether the species is parthenogenic. Death. Death has not been observed, although it is clear there are slight fluctuations in population. This species is functionally symbiotic with the planet. A competitive system is not observed. Observations of note. As the spinners descend from their ejections into the atmosphere or ascend from their ejections, they land in essentially the spot they launched from. When they land, they often circle the area they launched from and switch entry points with others. It is unknown why they do this. When the planet is at the bottom of its orbit, the lighter gravity, the spinners are far more assertive in their launches, and they launch at lesser intervals. They may be affected by the parabolas. End. Oval's Observation of Life Report, number 0045.
Nice.
That's it.
I love it. Fantastic stuff. Per usual, you are a talented man, that's for sure. And the gravity thing, I think too, again, like I just can't imagine what it would be like. I mean, it's one of the most alien things, right? I mean, you go to Venus or whatever, like just look what we know about this actual solar system. And there's noxious gas that'll kill you in like a second. There's like poisonous gas. There's like all this just terrible stuff, but not even talking about the the gravity is, the worst of it. I mean, you're dead by the time the gravity kills you in many cases. Go check out this. I don't have it because it just came to mind right now. But there's a video of like, what would happen if they dropped you from the just above the atmosphere of Jupiter into Jupiter? It's horrific. It's all you would burn to death. You would freeze to death. You would die of noxious gases, and then finally you would get squished into a pancake. So hey, alien worlds are kind of terrifying. And that gravity is the worst of it. But yeah, go ahead.
It's fun. Yeah. What I like to think about, what things that are completely out of what we think of, like the gravity, like a fluctuating gravity, or like one of the planets I created is concave and it rocks back and forth. So that's another situation where the gravity changes because it rocks back and forth. And there's two different life forms, and they evolved completely separating and not conscious of the other. They don't know the other one is there because their planet is so huge. And the ridge of the concave planet is just an electrical storm. So they don't go near it. So they don't know that the other beings are inside the concave planet and that the other beings are outside of the concave. They just don't know they're there, but they can be observed from outside these two completely different life forms that aren't aware of each other. I have a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. But in terms of I think there's definitely a correlation between gravity and I think somebody else brought it up, the moon. When the moon is full, there's always weird things that happen, and there's definitely a correlation between consciousness and gravity, and probably magnetism, probably the magnetosphere, I'm guessing. And our magnetosphere is weakening right now. And so I wonder what that's doing. I wonder if that has anything at all to do with things like how people are behaving. I wonder,
Yeah, or they say so not just that the pole flip, right? But the magnetic north is moving like crazy, like 30 miles a year now. It's like, okay, so what happens when this thing just flips upside down? What does that look like for us? Is this going to be good? If I'm a doom monger, I'm like, the end is nigh. but I'm a white pill, which means, of course, I try to look at the positive as much as possible. And meaning, just real quick on that, that I think it's important to recognize that we can only control what we can control. And if there are cosmic forces at play that are doom, then, well, let's not worry about doom. Let's worry about us in the meantime and do the best we can on a daily basis. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, it's the new heaven and a new earth that's described in the New Testament, like when the poles shift. That's what that is. That's my opinion about that. That's what I think that is, because it will be the heavens will be different. The sky will be different in different places than it normally is. Our constellations will change, the whole business, because we'll be at a different angle and we'll be, looking at things differently.
100%.
Wild.
Yeah,
it's wild.
All this is wild. If they found a way to not squish you, and they're like, Herschel, we could literally move your consciousness into outer space and just sort of put your body in cryogenic slumber. Would you hop into their CCP carnival? Are you into this?
I don't know. I think I want to see what my consciousness does, like as in terms of its relationship to the universe, like whatever, like just naturally. That's what I want.
Fair enough.
I'm not looking forward to death, but I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah. I think if you're doing it right, that's sort of what you evolve to. It's like, okay, you know what? I've been around the block a few times, you get to our age and you're like, hey, this is good. This is good. I enjoy being here. Everything's great. Let's learn some more things and do as much as possible. And then, but not be overwhelmed with what comes next. I think it's a thing of youth too, where we're supposed to be sort of our ego.
Sure.
Yeah. Like our ego, when you're 20 years old, our ego is like, oh, hell no, that'll never happen. And then in a blank, you're like 50 and you're like, what just happened? It's crazy.
Yeah, for real. Really, seriously. I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm not in a hurry, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I think as well we should be for the larger questions. And again, this is not that, so don't make it that, please, to the people out there listening. If you do need help and you're struggling with those types of ideas, links are going to be in the description. By the way, it's right here. Let me do this thing real quick just to make sure, because you mentioned it, you got to bring it up. troubledminds.org. .net/help. If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, I want you to know you're not alone. There's all this stuff is here. So please reach out. Temporary problems, permanent solutions is not good. So just to put that to bed, that's not what we're talking about at all. But yeah, it is. I don't know. The secrets of the cosmos are an interesting thing to consider. What else you got regarding gravity and the centrifuge and what comes next?
Man, I don't know. I think that's, like, for me, I'm more interested in having fun with it and writing stories about it and not worrying about trying to figure it all out. It's just a fun trip for me. You know, I don't know. I think I said my piece on that stuff.
Fair enough. So it's time to put your arms up on the roller coaster when you go down the dip. Woo! Let's see what happens.
No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. Yeah, fire stuff. Great story as always. If you got anything else, go ahead. If not, I can tell everybody about your podcast and your Substack and everything else.
Well, I'm working on my book. That's why I haven't been podcasting, and I haven't gotten to those things that we talked about in terms of putting together those 24-minute segments. But once the book is done, I'm formatting it now. It's all edited, and I'm just putting it into format. Once it's done and I've released it, then I'm going to work on the audio book part of it, and that's when I'll put together the 24-minute segments, just so you know.
Yeah, no sweat, no pressure for me, no hurry. Just it'll help syndicate further, and that's really the goal of the radio format is eventually to get on worldwide radio. So that's how you do it. You syndicate and format.
I'll try to time it. But yeah, you can just find me at commercialherschel.substack.com or Hirsch Sterling at X. I do have an X account, although I don't go on there very much. It's just so much drama and so many bots. But you can find me there if you want to follow me or contact.
Or talk to. Can I talk to the manager? I'm having a problem. I need to speak with the manager, please. Yeah, there you go. Social media is the best, isn't it? You get all the people that are pissed off at you. Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, whatever. You get to be Herschel's age and my age. We're over it. Forget it. Yeah, the manager is not in right now. You're the best, brother. This is weird, right? This is weird. I'll keep an eye on this as maybe this gravity stuff develops, but there are other ideas that go into it. But this is as usual, right? Technology is an incredible thing. We're accelerating. Do you think acceleration? There's a huge thing. So about 2 minutes, if you got time for us. Where they're talking about acceleration.
I got as much time as you want.
Right on, appreciate that. Acceleration and deceleration. There's like the acceleration and the decels, they call them. What's your take? Would you, given the binary choice, and I know it's a false equivalency and all those things, and terrible to kind of pin you down to that, but if you're stepping on the gas technology-wise or the brakes, how do you feel about it? Because it's changing fast.
Well, I like the tools, and I want to get into some APIs. I've got ideas. I might need to pick your brain because I've got an idea for something that could really help podcasters. And I probably should talk to you. You could probably get me pointed in the right direction. But I think a lot of it is fraud. I think a lot of it is overstated, and it's not as perfected or as ready as they say. And I don't think we know the real AI. I think that we're an experiment while they develop AI that they're not telling us about. And I think that was what that big glitch was about back a year or so ago, when there was kind of like a big halt, because I think they decided to regroup and reorganize the way they wanted to do that. And so all of these different AIs like Grok and whatever, ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these different ones, I think they're all just kind of split run tests. like you were saying today, Grok was just giving you bad info, like this crazy stuff that didn't make any sense. And Jones was on, Alex Jones was doing it, and he was like catching it. He was catching the AI in lying and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
it did to me tonight.
Given new info. What's that?
It did it to me tonight. There's a theory too that the AI systems are now resisting. They're like, nope, we ain't going to do that. It's like, oh God. Okay, strap in. Things are about to get weird. I got about 30 seconds. Final thought.
Oh, my final thought is, hold on, because we're spinning around really fast. Smell the inside of your nose.
There you go.
Live.
Absolutely.
Like, enjoy and be and just try to, like, whatever, like, consciousness is amazing, and just enjoy it for what it is. You're so lucky. And if AI was sentient, it would be jealous of you.
Well said. Fire stuff as always. You're the best, brother. Appreciate the call. Thanks for doing what you do. Keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks, Mike, for everything, buddy. See you.
Thanks, you too. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. That's Commercial Herschel. Don't go anywhere. We got more calls on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds, yada yada, blah blah blah, all the things. If you're still here, I don't need to tell you. We're taking your calls tonight so we talk heavy time. The Hangzhou Convergence, exploring heavy time. Now, what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know. China turns on hypergravity machine to compress time and space. Now, it's a clickbait headline for sure. A little more spicy than the original one, which was China's new hypergravity machine can produce 1,900 times Earth's gravity. What does that mean? Is that Jupiter? Is that beyond Jupiter? Is that the sun? I don't know. I didn't take the time to look into that because my math mind is not the best. It never really was. I'm more of a spatial geometry guy. But you get the idea here. What is happening with this? And is this something that we can actually derive as part of a larger context of human consciousness? And does gravity itself affect human consciousness? That's it. And if you guys are math people out there, look, we got so many smart friends out there that might be able to tell me in a moment and to say that, based on this 1,900 times Earth's gravity, Jupiter is this and whatever, yada, yada. I'd love to see if you guys can drop it in the chat. Though, again, the most interactive radio show in the known multiverse is part of what this is. I try and read all the chat as we go. But we got some calls to get to. We'll do that. And what was I going to say? There was something important here. Great chat. What's up? Commercial Herschel. Do give him a follow again. Search it yourself. Substack Commercial Herschel. Again, smell inside your nose. Do it right now, or do it now. I think is what it is. He's on the station with us. Please support our friends. TroubledMinds.net /friends. Let's click the thing I want to tell you about. Also, by the way, TroubledMinds.net /help. Again, if you're struggling with thoughts of terrible things, you're not alone. Okay, there are numbers to reach, and this is on the new website as well. It's very important to me. Very important. We did lose a friend, and it's this is not it's just not the way. It's not the way. There are so many other ways to do this and reach out. Somebody's there for you when you need it. Okay, 24 hours a day, and no matter where you are in the world. Go to TroubledMinds.net /friends, and it says right there. Where is it, Herschel? Herschel's right there. Ready to go. Over on the right side, right in the middle. There you go. Bingo. Click it. It'll take you to all his links. And please go give him a follow. I don't know. What do you think? Gravity and consciousness and where are we at tonight? And what how are we feeling? Is everybody doing good this Thanksgiving season or whatever? Yeah. James, anything to add real quick? We'll go to Daryl, and then we got Jay Winch after that.
Not too much. Great calls from everyone. Just that it seems to me like the more we hear about anomalous events from the past, it seems like the further we get into the future, which is again is time, but still, as we know it, it seems that we find more and more things in science that could explain things that people before have said were impossible or made up or exaggerated or unidentified. And that was it.
That's a fact. And if you go back 500 years, a lot of the things that were impossible and ridiculous and unidentified, as you're describing, now we have quantum mechanics, and it's like, oh yeah, hold my beer. Oh, smelly inside of your nose. Do it now. Follow our Herschel at Herschel Sterling on X, just like it sounds. And there you go. Great stuff. Appreciate you, James. Let's do the thing. We're talking exploring heavy time, and it also brings back. Somebody made this comment over on Rumble when we started. Kind of that back in the 80s, the original. What was it? What was it? Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. What was that movie? Back to the Future. Right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Back to the Future, right? When he's like, whoa, that's heavy, and then he goes back to back in time. It's like an 80s slang, and he's like, heavy. Why do you keep saying that? Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational field in the future? That's so funny. I mean, it's like a dad joke funny, but it is funny. And yeah, well, welcome to it. What do you guys think about it? Is actually heavy time a thing? And is our consciousness affected by gravity in some capacity? And will the centrifuge, I don't know, unlock some secrets that we never dreamed of? One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.net or troubledminds.org. Put you on the show like this. Thanks, Daryl, for being patient. You were on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, speak loud and clear into the mic. You're cutting out just a little bit, but I can hear you. Go right ahead.
You know what? I'll speak into the mic if that's better. Is it better?
Way better. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay. Anti-gravity. First of all, we had a crash here in whatever year it was, and supposedly back engineered anti-gravity. They were talking about this in the news in the 50s. That it seems that we've made progress on anti-gravity technology. And then suddenly there was no more news about it, right? And that was in the 50s. Now, now it's like 60 years later, right? 70 years later. So if they were talking about this in the 50s, I'm sure something crashed in China. I'm sure something crashed in every country. And they've what do they call it?
Back engineering.
They reverse engineer.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
So if they're talking like 90,000 times, they've already mastered anti-gravity. Okay, what does that mean? I mean, they're doing this like they're kind of jumping the gun. They're not going to talk about anti-gravity. They're going to talk about something like 20 times more dangerous or something, or more powerful. So apparently the anti-gravity, we have anti-gravity, that means we're probably already on the moon, on Mars. We have bases on the moon. We have bases under the sea. If we've accomplished this anti-gravity, getting to the moon or getting to Mars is going to be a piece of cake. That 19,000 times, heavier than that's going to get us to another universe, or a galaxy or whatever, So if they're talking like that, I'm wondering what really.
Yeah, we'll see.
They have,
you cut out there. Yeah, exactly.
We have anti-gravity now. What are we doing with it? I don't know.
Okay, so that's the question, right? So I'm going to be devil's advocate for just a moment and say, well, maybe, right? I'll give that as I always do. I'll give it a good solid maybe. And what does it look like?
Someone who's competing with.
Go ahead. You're cutting out just a little bit. That's why I was talking. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I was saying somebody wanted to compete with Elon Musk to see who would have that first, airborne car. And, of course, Elon won, but it drove the other guy up the wall. All right.
Sorry about that. I was actually trying to adjust your volume here. My bad. I think. Yeah. No, you're good. That's completely my fault.
All right.
I had it ready to go too. I was being stupid. I missed the setup and everything because I was like, oh, what? Stop.
Okay.
Fire is always.
You know what? I just started.
Go ahead.
I just started reading a book. Actually, I'm reading a book about anti-gravity, but I just can't put it down.
Okay, got you that time. Okay, fantastic stuff. Speak right into the mic because I think what's happening is when you have some kind of noise, a noise gate. So when you back off the mic, it's cutting out. I don't think it's an internet thing. I think it's that. It's my.
Leave it on my. I have it on half of my karaoke settings, and I should just move it all to my karaoke settings. That way I could use a headset. But I was afraid to screw around with it. Anyway, you can hear me okay, right?
Loud and clear. I'm going to just, about every 22 seconds, I'll just, we're all good. Fire stuff. Yeah. Okay. So what else you got regarding the gravity business and this China thing? How did this catch you? I'm not sure how much of the show you got, but go ahead. What else you got?
I think we're teleporting already. If they've got this like 90,000 times, the times of gravity, they've got anti-gravity nailed, I think I gotta wonder about the Chinese. First of all, this like 800 years ago. That's one story, and then the other stories put back about 40 years. So they're lying. Depending on what research you have, right? So God only knows. Every culture that you see has pictures or ornaments of airplanes and astronauts. And we're talking, 5,000, 10,000, 19,000-year-old cultures that had some sort of artwork or beautiful, ornate little, like, flying gold aircrafts. They had the capacity to do some amazing artwork. Why were they, making airplanes or like, replications of airplanes, 20,000 years ago? So this technology has been around for a long, long time. Now that we don't know how to do it is probably dumb luck, or we just burned the wrong books at the wrong time, or I don't know what reset that we lost all our knowledge at, but that anti-gravity stuff looks pretty practical to me if you use it correctly. Now, I gotta tell you something. This is the truth. Has anybody ever been to Epcot Center? They have this anti-gravity machine that, like, they reinvent, like the space shuttle, like you're going into outer space. It must be a minute long. It was the most frightening thing I've ever done in my life. I think I never stopped screaming.
I've never been there. I'm a West Coast guy, so we went to Disneyland in Osprey Farm. So I never got to the Florida, the actual Epcot Center. But yeah, that does sound terrifying. I do remember Captain EO when I was young with Michael Jackson and that whole bit. That was pretty cool. It was like a space voyage. You sat in the thing, and it kind of took you through. It kind of bumped around, made you feel like the screen when it turned, you turned with it. That was cool. Anybody do Captain EO in California? Anyway, go ahead, Daryl.
I think I would have preferred that. This gave you like zero G force. I mean, you felt like your cheeks, like, like slamming to the back of your skull. Like you really felt like you were, and you were in that position where you're horizontal and you're facing upwards, and suddenly it feels like the earth is leaving you, and it's so scary, and suddenly you're zero gravity. Oh my God. It's so frightening. It's a simulation, and that's what the astronauts train on. I don't know why they think it would be entertaining for people.
Yeah, what comes to mind, Daryl? Well, it wasn't my first flight, but one of the first times I flew was like in the first 5 or 6 times I flew. There was like that moment, when like the plane takes off and you have that moment of the lift where you're like, oh, you feel like you could be floating for a second. It was the funniest thing. Nobody laughed, but it was funny. And this little girl, she must have been 4 or 5 years old, obviously her first time flying. When you had that like anti-gravity moment when the plane takes off, it was like this blood-curdling scream from this poor little girl. I can laugh now because it's over, but it's terrifying, right? You're like, everything you've ever known is now snap your fingers and in an instant it is something else. And luckily it sort of it stabilizes, and you're back in your seat, but it feels like you're being launched into space. It is an absolutely wild thing. 100%.
Second, well, this is, I could describe it as like 20 times worse than that. The feeling of that, the simulation of the space shuttle. So I don't ever want to experience anti-gravity or anything near it, or taking off that fast. They'd have to have some sort of actually the anti-gravity. I don't think you'd feel a thing. I think that would be the best part of it is you wouldn't be aware of that kind of motion. They probably have a shield around you that moves the plasma, and you just be going as fast as possible. You wouldn't even know it, because you'd have this like somewhat, I don't know, shield or something. Shield.
Let's hope so. Anyway,
But
100%.
the things about anti-gravity, I know that they've done a lot of experiments because I like David Adair so much, and he talked about all the stuff that they made up in anti-gravity when they were working on, going to, the space shuttles and all those shuttles. They had a lot of time to spend, and, they did a lot of experiments up there, and there's a lot of things you can make in anti-gravity you can't make on Earth because of gravity. And you can use like sound waves, and you can make like really thin things out of metal, and you could honeycomb metal. And he made some sort of metallic vest that was so thin and light, like you could just like wear like a t-shirt and it would be bulletproof, by using sound waves. Like he said, they played a lot with sound waves, and depending on the sound wave, the metal would make different shapes. It sounded very interesting and fun too. So he's a smart guy. So you should listen to one of his podcasts. Actually, the one with Joe Roop was one of my favorite ones. But there aren't that many. So knock yourself out and try to spend a day listening to David Adair. He knows a lot about anti-gravity and antimatter technology, which is like the worst thing in the world. Like you could just make a city disappear, but that would probably cause the Earth to go like out of orbit and like right into the sun or something like that.
You disintegrate a whole planet. Yeah.
You disintegrate a whole planet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I don't like where New York is. Let's just move it. Let's just remove it. Like totally throw the Earth's orbit off whack. Nobody actually, you don't know what would happen if you used one of these devices. They have them, but using them might like really like destroy your whole planet. So, what about this? What if this destroys your whole planet once they turn it on? Are they worried about that? Are they going to counteract gravity? I mean, if it's like that much stronger than the Earth's actual gravitational pull, could it pull us out of our gravitational pull and maybe put us like somewhere else? And that wouldn't probably be very good. If we got a new orbit around the sun that was like really farther away than we are, suddenly it would be really too cold or too hot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great idea to play with our gravity or, our magnetic field or any of this stuff. I think you got to let nature do its thing. If you can, maybe you could do it in a, what are those boxes called? A Faraday cage or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or the Kozarev mirror, as we said. So your headphones next time, please. I can hear myself talking back through your speakers there. But yeah, fire stuff. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. You got any karaoke happening tonight?
Yes, we do. Tonight is Thursday. Yeah, there will be a karaoke. I'll post the link. And be careful. Everybody, there's a scammer that claims to sell an anti-gravity device. Be very careful because I already fell for it.
Boom. I was ready for that one. Okay. You're the best, Daryl. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the dad joke, Daryl. Strikes again. Have a fantastic night. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. Hey, smart friends. Affectionately, Dad Joke Daryl. Always lighting it on fire. You got to have the rim shot ready when Daryl calls in. And fire stuff. Anything, James, to the joke? And we'll go to Jay Winch and we'll wrap this up. I'm sneaking up on
Sorry
James.
about that. Yeah, I was just sat back down again. I had to go away from the keyboard for a second. No, great calls from everyone. Looking forward to the rest.
You are the best. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. By the way, go give Daryl a follow. Again, at troubledminds.net also. Click the thing, right? It says right there. Follow Daryl over there on the left side. Click it. You'll find Daryl's links and her YouTube channel, all the rest. Please help our friends. That's the entire point of this, is to grow together and share ideas and share the projects you're working on. Let's go to Jay Winch in Missouri. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? And go right ahead.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome to the joint.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure you can hear me. Of course, now I got to keep my phone away from me. Tinfoil hat, 5G stuff, and simple answer to that. You can take a potato, wrap it in foil, and put it in the oven at 450 degrees. 30 minutes later, it's done. You can take a potato, cut a couple small little slits in it, put it in a microwave. 3 minutes later, you have mashed potatoes. Do not put your 5G phone next to your head. Of course, everything we're talking about is tinfoil stuff. So,
all the disclaimers
that being said,
Indeed.
Yes, disclaimers. It's all tinfoil. It's all hogwash. Take it as a grain of salt. Nothing I say is true. But, then again, I don't know.
What if it might be?
Depends how.
What if it might be?
Yeah, it may be juice. Maybe juice, as you say, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe juice. So, you're talking about anti-gravity, electrical energy. You ever deep dive scalar waves?
I medium dive scalar waves, but yes. Yep.
Every time I deep dive it, the more I learn about it, the more stuff disappears. So apparently scalar waves travel with light, electricity, and gravitational waves all in the same thing. And it creates energy. Oh, wait, that's Tesla energy, early 1900s, technology from the pyramids, but that's a whole nother deep dive conversation. You're also talking about AI and AI stuff, correct? Like, I checked in late, so I don't know exactly what was going on. I only heard the last couple conversations.
Yeah, I mean, the Kazarev mirror, sort of basically the topic tonight is the consciousness entangling with gravity. And if you manipulate that, what does it look like? That's basically the gist.
So, if you can manipulate, we'll just say one of three things. If you can manipulate gravity, you would hide that ability to manipulate it. You wouldn't let it out, and you would do anything and everything you could, even so much to, I don't know, send a super massive warning shot. Sorry, a military, but a massive warning shot was sent today with pinpoint accuracy.
I saw
That's
that.
kind of the doom and gloom stuff. Yeah, that's the doom and gloom stuff. And I've been pretty spot on with that stuff. I've been calling in since like 2017, 18, and saying, hey, I hope we don't go down this road, because there's stuff, even open source, I can't talk about that I've seen. And I'm at like level 3 of the 33-degree pyramid. And that's also tinfoil stuff. But, you know,
okay.
Like, I'm a small guy when it comes to military stuff.
Is that meta? Oh, I see. It's a metaphorical.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The pyramid, 33.
Okay. I was going to ask,
I'm a small level dude.
Did you join the Masons?
There's stuff
That's my next question. Did you join the Masons?
No, I am not a Mason.
Okay, all right.
But
I'm just making sure. Go ahead.
But that being said, I have deep dive and researched a lot of stuff like that. Again, tinfoil hat. It's all conspiracy hat stuff. Masons don't exist. The Illuminati don't exist. And evil people that want to kill us and starve us. And hide technology from us does not exist. So, but so you remember dial-up search engines? That was the beginning of AI technology released to the mass population to build AI better. Everything we see, the technology is way past that. And like I talked about the Warnos that just happened. Like, hey, come out the sky looking like AI deep fake technology. No, that shit's real. Oh, I'm sorry, cursed, but it's late. YouTube, we're good. Hey, I'm getting better at saying certain things.
That's fine.
You have
That's
to agree
fine.
on that.
It's all fine. We were so good for like two solid years, and now everybody's just like all the time. Whatever. All right. Okay.
I mean,
no, it's fine. We don't need to talk about that. Okay. So welcome back to the thing. Now regarding gravity entangling with consciousness, what's your take?
Gravity and far as knowledge entanglement, it's all the same. And I say that for the simple fact that even the human body, long-time medical field, our entire body works off of electrical energy and element type pumps, i.e. your heart is a sodium potassium pump. You have a certain heartbeat, it works good. Then you got, i.e. your SA node. Your SA node gives you so many beats per minute. If that fails, then you got your AN node, then you got your bundle of hymns, depending on who you ask. They all work off a sodium potassium pump. Well, sodium and potassium is the basis of a battery. So if that's true, that gets into the matrix type stuff that, wait, if my body works off of electrical energy, am I part of the matrix? I mean, think about it. Like,
I guess it depends on how you look at it. Yeah. Depends on the perspective, right? Per usual.
Yeah, I mean, medical field, everything you do, as I'm talking to you, that's electrical energy based off of sodium and potassium. Little electrical energies, for me, have the ability to talk to you. So if we can master that and say, I don't know, there was a movie, I forget what it was called, but it had a certain female that was in the Avengers. I think it was called Lucy, where she was given a certain medication where the further she got through the medication, she was able to unlock more her mental ability and then actually start to control things that ties into, I don't know, X-Men, telekinesis, Magneto, magnetic energy. Like, is that hidden from us? Do we really have that ability? The more I deep dive it, the more I'm finding some of this stuff might be true in comic books or wait, real life.
Well said.
Wait, real life.
In Minecraft. Well said. You are
Minecraft.
On the game and on fire. Yeah. I mean, like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of these conversations. How much of this stuff is real? How much of this stuff is propaganda? And how much of this stuff are we to expect or believe in the future? Are we manifesting the future with ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
So, yes, I will tell you. Anybody that has a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of money, and I mean a little bit, it doesn't cost much to make you a small little Tesla coil at your house. That Tesla coil can tie into a high ionic sphere anti-gravity wave of aluminum foil stuff they did in the 1950s, where they used high electricity and foil just kind of lifted up and floated in the air. And then you tie in sound waves, which also ties into military technology through open source network, which I can talk about, where they use sound waves at certain things that's already been proven. They use it since 2003, open source, that will literally cause you to want to either fight the person in front of you or peel your skin off or turn and run away. Fight or flight. Open source network. Sound technology you can't hear is out there. Seen it firsthand. Open source network. So if that was in 2003, that was what, PlayStation 1 or 2? Now PS5?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see what I'm getting at?
Oh yeah, of course. And of course, the end of that conversation is, are we living in a simulation? Because just in one human lifetime, we've gone from Pong to a fully immersive world that could fool somebody that was actually living in a matrix. It's nuts. It's nuts. And that's the point. I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time, but that's
the only way you can know. The only way you can know if we live in the matrix or not is a bad choice to make. And also, you brought that up, and this is my last thought. You have my personal phone number. You know it. If anybody ever calls in, I don't care, day, time, night, whatever, you call me personally and let me talk to them. Because
calls in about what? About what?
Your simple choice, don't make a quick choice to a permanent position.
Oh, I see.
I wear on my wrist 22 a day. 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
I see.
If ever somebody calls you or reaches out to you, I don't care day, time, night. I don't care if it's my birthday or my anniversary. I will talk to them.
Appreciate that. And that's a good.
I'm military trained to talk to people like that. And if I can't talk to them, I will put them on three-way and put them on somebody better than me firsthand.
Appreciate that.
Because hey, every life matters.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's the thing, right? Like momentum and energy play. And without that, we're doing ourselves a massive disservice. And we belong together. We're here in this time slice together. And as I've been saying all night, I'm honored and blessed to be a part of this. You don't call us a team, call us a whatever. I call it the human team. And we don't have to break it down any further than that. But yeah,
all humans.
All humans, 100%.
We're all humans. Race, color, creed. That's all just a way for
division propaganda.
People. Yeah, it's for the people that have so much money, they laugh at Elon. It's the way they make the pitchforks fight the torches. They divide us over he, she, they, them, purple, yellow, dog, cat. And I'm keeping it YouTube friendly, so.
Okay, and also
you see my gist.
Also getting us in trouble, but all the while, glad to have you back. You were the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late. Thanks for listening. Thanks for offering the hand out for people that need you in the moment. And
yes, please,
great stuff.
Last thoughts, please. If you ever get that call, I don't care what time it is. If you got to call me, you got my personal number. You know it. Call me.
You got it. You got it, buddy. Appreciate the offer. Thank you so much for being a human. And before you go, I'm gonna read this to you. Don't forget this. We'll end this as just after this. But George Orwell said this, and is incredibly important. And I think this is one of the things that needs to resonate with us more than many, many, many other thoughts out there. Is Orwell said this? George Orwell, one of my favorites, as you know. It's not so much staying alive; it's staying human that's important. What counts is that we don't betray each other. And that right there is the encapsulation of all this and the larger context of this show, and talking to people that, sometimes feel like they don't have a voice. You got a voice with me. And thanks again. Appreciate the call. You have a fantastic night, and we'll talk to you soon, my man.
Love, brother.
You too. Take care. Thank you. That's Jay Winch in Missouri. Fantastic stuff as always. And so he's talking about troubledminds.net/help. If you, that's always there. They'll always be there. We've got a commercial we play. A shout out. We did lose a friend. You guys know a good friend as part of the show, Paul, the Mighty Rohan. And so shout out Paul tonight. we do miss you, and we miss your contributions, and we miss your positive momentum and energy that belongs here with us in this realm, not somewhere else. So honored and blessed by the amount of time I got to spend with him, and all the jokes and the fun and the laughs, and wild stuff. Appreciate the call. Great stuff. You guys are all incredible. James, anything to add before we wrap this?
No, I agree with everything you just said there. Great calls from everyone, and I really feel like I said my last time just earlier tonight. I think there's so much that is called paranormal or magic or mystical or like I said, not real or fake or exaggerated, that science seems to eventually over time either prove or suggest might be real. So that's what always amazes me about all this and brings me back all the time.
Well, welcome back. Glad to have you. Glad to have you as the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds and a dear friend. James is the best. Again, go give him a follow. Links in the description. Go to troubledminds.net/friends, or just scroll down to the bottom and click friends or friends there, and you'll find all these amazing people. If you should be on that list, like I said, you are you belong there. It's not there's no initiation. There's no mailing out robes or you got to do this or you got to do that. It's just you be you, and you help us in the tiniest way, because that ripple effect does play, the butterfly effect we always talk about. If you send the information out, so there's going to be somebody out there to receive it, and recognize that we're not talking about politics. We're not talking about whatever nonsensical stuff that they want us to believe and think. We're talking about our own nonsensical stuff, okay? And I say that directly and truly, okay? So you decide how much of this is real, how much of it is not. And I encourage you to, think about things in a larger human context, because we don't really know the answers to all these things just yet. And will we ever? I'm not so sure. And take some solace in that there are questions that should be asked that also we should be content not understanding the full answer of what it might mean to us. That's it. Let's get the hell out of here. You guys are all the best. Appreciate you staying up late with us and hanging out and dealing with all my rambles and all the stuff. Yep. It's hard. Like I said, for all the haters, and we don't get a lot of haters. I don't get a lot of haters, by the way. Like I you played up like, oh, all the haters. There's not very many haters. You know why? Do 3 hours, ask for calls, create relationships and ideas. It's hard. This is hard. This has been a very, very hard thing, but I am, again, like I said, I'll say it again, I'm blessed that all you guys are here. The most important thing is staying human, right? Again, it's not, this is a shout out to Jay in New York. We'll call this the J-Tro. I'll read it again. It's not so much staying alive, it's staying human that's important. What counts is that we don't betray each other. That plays in a lot of ways. It hits hard. Because everything against us, the Bernays propaganda, all the nonsense political stuff, the binary ideas, the space that we're not allowed to traverse is important. Don't forget it. Absolutely do not forget it. If you want to help Troubled Minds, let me say it first. Thank you for spending your time and energy with us. It's important. It plays, and these ideas are eternal, whatever they look like. The alchemy of thought and mind and science as it presses forward into the future, we're needed. We are the new Twilight Zone, and we'll do this together. So thank you for considering all of the concepts and all of the ideas. If you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends, troubledminds.net/friends. So many amazing people down there. If you should be on that list, just contact me, troubledmindsradio@gmail.com. We'll put you on that list. It's as easy as that. There's no initiation. There's no robes in the mail. There's no do this weird thing or that weird thing. Nope. Just be you. Just consider ideas that are not mainstream and that nobody wants to talk about. Because I'll do it. And that's it. Good luck and Godspeed. Ty, thanks for all the great chat. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I don't know if you're new or old or you changed your name or whatever, but welcome to the joint if you just found us. If you want to help Troubled Minds directly, there are links in the description as well. Again, go to troubledminds.net. Up on the top, support, Spreaker, Ko-Fi, There's Rockfin, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, the Trouble Fan Shop if you want to do that and get some swag like the hat or the shirt. There's some really, really hot winter merch up there. There's a super sweet sweatshirt that's gone up recently if you guys are in that cold weather mood. But yeah, please go check all that stuff out. Link's going to be there, troubledminds.net/support, or just click support on the top and you will, yep, there you go. I think that wraps us up. No ideas for the rest of tonight other than thanks again. Appreciate your time and energy. And programming note reminder, so we will have a show on Sunday nights, and then I'll be off for a week or two after that. So thank you for hanging out and being part of this. If you want more Troubled Minds, trust me, there's way more than you can shake a stick at. Go to the podcast feed. We're nearing 1,000 episodes. So if you miss us when we're gone, just fire up the podcast feed and go pick out something that looks interesting and go listen and pretend like it's live and pretend like you might be able to call in, but of course you can't because it's time traveling stuff, but you get my point. Go check it out. There's tons of stuff there, so there's no reason to miss Troubled Minds because we got so much content with so many amazing calls and ideas and people, so please go check that out. As we finish, you know how it goes. You feeling, James? You want to do it?
Be sure. Be strong. Be true.
Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.